Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Kitchen Table Podcast. I am the host, Matt, and this is Ryan, and this is our guest that we've got today is Captain Dale Saucier. So before we go into more depth with him, what are you laughing about?
You mess up every intro we have done so far.
Yeah, but I do great every other time when I'm not recording. So a little bit of introductions or shout-outs and for sponsorships that don't pay us anymore. So FlameDecon. I'm not going to ruin it this time. FlameDecon. Decontamination products developed to remove more toxins and that smoky stench. After you have a fire, guys, go ahead and wash up with that FlameDecon product. It smells really good. It tastes even better. I'm just saying.
It's like a low-grade Pat McAfee show. They practice a little more.
Hey, come on. I'm trying to have fun with it. I'm pretty depressed sometimes. So also, guys, check out our buddy Brendan out at Black Smoke Sticker Company. He's got some awesome stickers. He's got great ideas. He'll reach back to you extremely quickly. And we also have for both companies, for Black Smoke Sticker Company and also FlameDecon, we have a coupon code. So I'll put that link in the description of what the coupon code is, and we'll check it out. Also, guys, we are wanting to give a shout out to Ronan still. So he's back home. He's been home for a little over a week, and he's doing great. Yeah. So Ronan, we miss you, buddy.
Stay strong, buddy.
Stay strong, man. Make sure you give us a little call, and we'll just say hi to you.
That's right.
So, all right. So our guest today is Captain Dale Saucier. I was going to say which one.
We're not doing that.
We're not doing that. So, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. So, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Well, first I'll give the shout out to Daylight Donuts.
That's right.
Got a box of Daylight. Yes.
That's why I came. See you later.
Yeah. All right. So, we're good to go.
Got his donuts and he's out.
Yeah. So, go ahead and just kind of just talk about your journey in the fire service.
Oh, gosh. My journey's been a while. I really didn't have a lot going on in my high school years. If you saw my high school pictures, you kind of know why I had some lonely days and stuff. But I had some really good friends, and those friends all had family members in the local fire department. Matter of fact, my best friend at the time, Dale Saucier, so it was easy for us to know our names. His dad, Valere, was the deputy chief in my hometown. His brother was a firefighter. His other brother was a firefighter. My dad was real good friends with the fire chief. As a matter of fact, my mom would sew all the emblems on the uniform shirts and stuff like that. I never thought anything about it when I was a kid and all that. And as a matter of fact, when I was a kid, I was scared of fire trucks and I was scared of power tools. And now I'm a firefighter and I'm a handyman. So, turn events. Things change. So they were my friends, Dale, Stanley, and Jeremy. They were all junior firefighters. We didn't have cadets or they were called junior firefighters. And the cool thing was about it then, when you got your license, you could drive. Couldn't drive the big fire trucks, but at least the grass rig, pickup, something like that, which, you know, when you're 16, 17 years old, that's pretty bad.
That's the coolest thing.
You could ride on the fire trucks. You could go on calls. We went on fires. And then when we turned 18, we could make entry once we got trained. So I joined when I was 16. It was January 2nd of 19...
It's an old timer right there.
I'm sorry, I missed that year. Could you say that again?
Let's just say that some people would love to drink a wine from that year. 1986.
I wasn't even thought of.
Yeah, I hate all of you. So I joined my friends were all like, hey, you got to do this. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. They're like, we don't either. So they train you. Okay, you get to ride in fire trucks with the lights. I was like, okay. I mean, so I went and talked to my mom and dad, had the waiver and everything, and mom and dad were very apprehensive. They didn't want me to do it. They were scared, so they actually called their friends they knew at the fire department and told them, and they said, okay, we're going to sign this. Well, if you ever talk to my parents, they'd be like, best piece of paper next to the marriage license that they ever signed, and my mom's naturalization.
That's awesome.
So, because they see where I'm at now, and my sister was a volunteer firefighter in the city next to us for a little bit, year and a half, 2 years, which I thought was really cool. Mm-hmm. At the time. I was much younger, but I joined. They said, okay, come back on this date. So I went on a Tuesday night for their monthly meeting. They approved me to get on. We went in this little closet, you know, beat the cobwebs off some old fire gear out of long black coat that was swallowing me. Had an old helmet, pair of orange or the red fireball gloves, which I'm like, that's a horrible idea on a fire, but they gave some wool mittens, and I got 3/4 boots. I missed the 3/4, by the way.
That is true old school right there.
Yeah. So they said, okay, here's a pager. After 10 o'clock at night, you can't make runs on the weekday because you're still in school. Any other time, show up at the firehouse. That was my training. they showed me how to clear the pager. So, of course, I go home, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. I mean, you figure January 2nd. Couple days later, they had chimney fire, but it went off after 10 at night. Well, I didn't realize how loud the pagers are, and I had it above my head on the headboard of my bed.
Didn't you?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I might have peed a little too, but so they had chimney fire, and of course we're at school the next day, and we're like, man, we missed the chimney fire. I said, yeah, I don't even know really what a chimney fire is, but it said fire, and I really wanted to be there because we didn't do any of it. They had an ambulance service run out of the fire department, but there was kind of two different entities, and you could work at both, but so the fire department went on fires and car wrecks and fire alarms. Saturday, so joined Tuesday night. Saturday, I'm sitting at home, probably watching cartoons. This is the only time you watch cartoons when I was young.
On the weekend.
In the weekend. And pager goes off. And it was in the middle of the afternoon. Reported house fire. So I'm like, oh, I'm getting everything on, and I run down the street. Well, Dale, my best friend Dale Beaulieu, lived like 6 houses away from me. He had his driver's license, so we ran down there. He was backing out of the driveway. He would either drive past my house, or if he saw me, I usually got down there pretty quick. Not a gazelle like, but rhinoceros maybe. I hop in his car and we go down there. I said, "Oh, what do I need to do?" He goes, "Just go in and get all that stuff on." He goes, "Follow what I do." I was like, "Okay." So we go in, boom, boom. The first engine was out the door. The second engine was out the door because we had 2 full-time people and then backfill of volunteers. So I follow Dale in, gear room, put our gear on. One of the officers goes, "Hey, let's get in the pickup." It was a 4-door old Power Wagon Dodge. And we hop in it, and we go to the scene. Well, there's about 16 inches of snow on the ground because northern Maine, I mean, that's where I started this journey. Northern Maine, 16 to 20 inches of snow on the ground, and I don't think the day saw 0. It was below 0 without the wind chill. We get there, and smoke's rolling out of this house. And the officer looked at me and said, "Follow Dale. Do whatever he does." He goes, "There's a hose line going to the back of the house," which now I'd say Charlie side.
Yeah.
You're thinking, what's a hose line?
Yeah, I'm like,
Hose
okay. I'm just going to follow Dale. So Dale follows that hose line. He tries to jump over the snowbank, and he falls in. So I fell in the snowbank. I thought that's what I was supposed to do.
You followed him.
But I got behind him, and he's spraying water, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Now I'm thinking, man, we probably burned the house down because we're spraying water from the outside. We could have made entry. But I got to go inside. You know, didn't wear an air pack.
Yeah.
But went inside and got to pull some walls and stuff. I fell in love with it right then.
So that day.
We were there for 8-10 hours. Our gear was frozen solid. When we got back to the station, when we rotated out, Ladies Auxiliary was there. They had soup. I fell in love with the fire service at that moment. I was like, this is it. I thought I was going to be an architect.
Yeah.
And here I said, this is what I want to do. Move forward. I end up, 18 years old. I'm driving a fire truck after school, going on fires. Ended up, became a rescue coordinator. It's kind of like a lieutenant, but I was in charge of the rescue program, extrication. Didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea how to be an officer. Got a helmet and said, figure it out. Not that they were doing anything wrong, because that's what they told everybody. But I was there, and then I started filling in when guys went on vacation. So, which was kind of weird, because there, you we had no 911. So people called the firehouse. You took all the information. You set the pagers. You set the alerting. Then you hopped in the rig, fired it up, and waited
so
for somebody to show up at the firehouse to answer the radios. Because we had no central dispatch, nothing like that. Because we also answer the radios for the police department. So they pull up, hop in the rig. That's how I learned how to drive a 5-speed with a fire engine. 5-speed, 2-speed rear end. And we go on the call. But then I decide, man, I really want to be a career firefighter. I'm reading it in these magazines called Firehouse and Fire Engineering. You know, that's how we that was our social
They
media.
had it back then?
Yeah, back then. We get a little ticker tape, Western Union.
Matt has no idea what that is.
I don't know, but I'll smile. I'll smile over here.
Yeah, We Were Soldiers. You got to watch that movie. Have you ever seen We Were Soldiers?
Mel
Oh,
Gibson.
my gosh.
I know Mel Gibson.
As many movies
The
as
Patriot?
you've watched.
Well, I really liked The Patriot. And that's the Mel Gibson I know.
You got to watch We Were Soldiers.
Other than his racist rhetoric that he left on a voicemail. It wasn't racist. It was towards Jews. But that doesn't need to be
That's
said
your
on-
other episode. That's your other podcast.
other podcast. Which hey, everyone's got their down point. So We Were Soldiers. Go on.
Yeah, we digressed a little. So when I decided that's what I wanted to do, there's not a lot of opportunity up there. So I actually applied for a fire department in the southern part of Maine, Old Town, made Old Town canoes, all that. The whole town smelled like fiberglass and resin. I didn't get hired, so I was like 22 years old. I loaded all my stuff in my pickup, drove out here because my brother and his family lived in Bloomington. So I moved to Bloomington.
Oh, crap.
The next day, I was supposed to go look for jobs. I go in gas station, be a local hero, join your local volunteer fire department. I was like, It had a number on there, Perry Clear Creek Fire Department.
How ironic
Yeah.
that it was.
And so I
Right
called
there.
them, and they're like, well, do you know where dude, I know how to get to Bloomington. And they said, come here. So I went there and applied, hung out all day, drove back to my brother's. And they're like, you didn't apply for any jobs, paying jobs? No, but I applied to be a volunteer firefighter.
This is great.
That'll pay the bills.
And then I got on there, and man, we didn't do a lot of EMS. We did like cardiac arrest, stuff like that. But we did a lot of pin jobs. Got some good fires down there, south side of Bloomington. Learned a lot. And then I really wanted to be full-time there, but then one of my wife's friends got a hold of us and said she lived in Franklin. And she's like, hey, I was looking in the Daily Journal today, and, you know, that's when they used to advertise job postings in the newspaper.
And the Daily Journal.
That's how you had to find out.
The things that open up.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're black and
Yeah,
white.
yeah.
Oh,
You read left to right, top to bottom. There's paragraphs.
back in like the 50s and stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Those are really, really old.
It was the next advancement after etching it in stone.
Wow. That's what I was thinking.
They're still around.
Oh. Like in museums and stuff? Or?
Yeah, lining cat litter boxes and bird cages. Yeah. So she said, hey, Franklin is hiring firefighters. And my wife goes, we got to go. I mean, this is an opportunity. You should try. I said, you're going to have to drive. I don't even know where Franklin is. So, of course, I was down there for 3 years, and I met my beautiful wife, fell in love immediately. We were married a year within the day that I proposed to her, or we met, actually. She has truly been my driving force. She is the one that said, you can do this. And where I'd be like, when I got married, I was like 120 pounds. I was like, they're not going to hire me. Well, I know. I'm from Maine. I know I plow snow. Plant potatoes, work in the field, and stock shelves at the IGA. So we went up there. She drove, went there, got an application, and then I ended up making the list. I got hired January 2nd of 1996. So I started my career as a career firefighter.
The same day
Yeah.
That's
as
awesome.
you started as a
Yes.
junior firefighter.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is
almost
cool.
10 years
That's
to the
really
day.
cool.
That is amazing.
So I learned a lot to get me to that point. But then I got that job, obviously loved it. First day we had like 10, 12 runs. I was like, this is the way it's
We're in
supposed to be. I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
Greatest thing ever. I'm going to learn a lot. And then I just felt like I wanted more of my career. That's kind of where we got to that, what more do I want out of this? I mean, there was nothing wrong if I would have stayed at that fire department. I would have had a great career. I just wanted that next thing. I knew there was a next thing out there. I heard about another fire department in Johnson County. I ended up applying there, got hired as engineer. March of 2006, I moved to that. And now, I held engineer, lieutenant, training safety chief, back to captain. Just best job in the world is being on the rig. Learned a lot in the office for 5.5 years. Networked real good, met some great people. Being out on the rigs is where it's at.
Yep.
But every step of the way, I have to say my wife was like, you can do this. You can do this. She wanted me to apply other departments before I got hired on the one I'm currently at. It was just, she was there. She was that rock.
That is awesome to have that kind of support.
Oh my gosh. And I'm going to do it right now. I'll look at the camera. The spouses are the ones that give up so much for us to do what we love to do. I love going to work. Even on the worst day, I love going to work. And she's like, you're going to work with a smile. And I'm going to go. She teaches kids. She influences people in her job. But it's different. I love it. I love going. I love the camaraderie.
It's important.
Oh, it's huge.
Huge. The fact that you still, after all these years, still go to work with a smile on your face is incrable.
Yeah.
And that's hard to find.
Right.
Guys
so
that
what's
have been on
what's
for
the
that
daily
long.
mindset that you do? So what's your daily mindset like for you when you're going in? What are the thoughts going through your head?
Sometimes I look at the schedule and go, oh, shit. But then I get those, oh, sweet, I'm working with this kid today. You guys are all kids. I still see you as a C9 student. That's the way I see. I'm like,
I still see you as my instructor from there. I'm like,
podcast, you shouldn't even be out of high school yet.
Everybody's shocked you got out of it.
I am too.
C9 probably got him out of high school. But that mindset, you go in there knowing that, okay, I mentioned a kid earlier. When I know I'm working with him, he calls them nuggets. He goes, I love the nuggets I learned. Because he's on other departments. He goes, I don't get that from people. He goes, they come to work and they take a nap. Or they're worried about fixing their vehicle or something like that. All that stuff's great. I believe in naps. And because, we're not sleeping through the night very often anymore.
Right.
So it's important to get naps. I don't mind if you wash your car and work on your vehicle. Let's get done what needs to get done. But my mindset is, my job is to make sure that firefighter becomes an old firefighter. I make sure that firefighter gets those nuggets, shares it on. We were always told when we were young by instructors, I'm giving you my slide tray. That's a little carousel. You put the little pictures in. It goes, it drops down.
Is that a Rolodex thing?
Displays up there.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've seen that like in Tarzan and stuff.
Yeah,
in the movie when they're talking. Yeah,
watch Google.
In the cartoon Tarzan.
He's a good punching bag.
This is what I deal with.
I'm good with it. I don't care.
But that was what we did. We would sit down and that was our PowerPoint. Well, now we're like, I would teach, hey, my job is to give you the PowerPoint in my head.
Yeah.
Give you those nuggets. And then now it's like, I'll give you the podcast, the viral video.
Yeah.
The TikTok 60-second video.
Which I don't TikTok. There's some funny TikToks. I just don't need another thing to distract me. I got Mahjong. Remember I told you about Mahjong earlier? But it's to train them. There's nothing greater for me to see train somebody for the next level. Training the young kids or the adult ed program and seeing them get hired as full-time firefighters. That to me is awesome. To train somebody to take my level, my spot. Because it's important to know above you and below you. So that's me, making sure that my firefighters and now my civilian EMS personnel become old and can enjoy
Yes.
their pension.
Absolutely. And that's the important thing that, Matt hit on last episode was we need to take these younger guys, grab them by the arm, and we need to show them, we need to teach them this job. And
Oh, yeah.
it's great to still have guys that want to do that.
Well, and they're not going to read a book. They don't
No.
want to. They'll read it. I'm a huge book person. I've got a library of books. I've not read every one of them. I may have skimmed. But there's some great books out there. Step Up and Lead.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great book. Firefighter Success.
I actually just got that in the mail this morning when I got home.
I just followed the guy on Instagram. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Getting the book when you're done with it, by the way.
And he signs it. When you
Yep.
order a book
Yeah.
from him, he
Yep.
signs it.
And a
It's pretty
sticker.
cool. I want to
And a
meet.
sticker.
I want to meet him sometime.
Yeah.
I have not.
It's Jim Moss, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but I bought that for one of my he's a part-time kid that floats. New, no life experience, really. The Jacob Harshy back in the day. That's
Producer Jacob.
Producer Jacob.
which I
Hershey.
love. Jacob Harshy, dude, where that kid's at. Again, I'm
Yes.
calling kid. We've had some great conversations, text message, sitting down, just talking. He's a good guy.
He's
I'm very
smart.
happy for him.
He's
Yes.
smart.
He loves the job.
Yeah.
That's his passion for the job is incredible.
Yeah.
I love that.
You don't need to read. I think degrees are great. I'm working on my bachelor degree. I got 2 associates working on my bachelor. Whip-de-hoo-ha. That doesn't mean anything. Doesn't have a lot of bearing when you sit your ass in that officer seat or
Right.
the driver's seat or the firefighter seat. Is it good? Yes. But, reading those books, Tools of the Trade, I mean, that's just one of those books from fire engineering it's their tools where you're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know what that tool was. And now they have it. Think of the younger generation. They got a QR code in the book. You scan it, and it shows a video how to use that tool. That's what the old dinosaurs need to do. We need to understand this. These podcasts. This is how we're going to get to the people.
Absolutely.
This is how we're going to get it. We're not the traditional book. Even with COVID and all that stuff, we're dealing with Zoom meetings. That's where it's at now. That's where we're going to do some of our trainings. I have my vices against it, but I'm also now for it. I just think that there's some of that we're losing not getting in a classroom together.
Yeah.
Because when I took classes and I take classes, I meet people and I network with those people. I understand fire officer class you can do via webinar or something, but that networking is huge, and that's how I got to meet people.
And that's what I told Matt, and I actually had this conversation this morning was, Chief Lasky, I was listening to a podcast with him the other day, and that was his big thing was you need to get out there, you need to meet people.
Yeah.
You need to take these classes to meet these people. And the networking is huge.
That's what FDIC is all about.
That's what FDIC is all about. And, we actually, before we started this, we were talking about doing some pretty cool training things that I hope that we can eventually get going.
Yep.
That way guys can get out there and meet each other, guys and gals. And that's what we need.
You can't talk a hose line deployment.
No, you cannot.
You cannot. That's muscle memory. You gotta get in there and do it. I am by far not the perfect firefighter or perfect officer. I mean, I'm always learning. I also heard early on, once you stop learning, you need to get out. But this is ever changing. It's ever changing, but ever coming back around.
Right.
I mean, smooth bores.
Yeah.
You use smooth bores. Smooth bore cartel.
And we got the little
Right
patch
up
up
front
front, too.
there.
I got my little Ellicott brass,
Yeah.
vote gallons per minute.
Heck yeah.
Smooth bore nozzle. I'm a smooth bore guy. I've used a lot of fog nozzles. Fog nozzles put out a lot of fire when it's straight stream, right? Learn how to use what you have. If you want to make change, get facts, put together proposals, and kill them with facts.
Yep.
And actually, don't just sit around the couch going, I wish we had Minutemen. I wish we had Minutemen. And then you get a fire and you can't pull them. the pre-connect you have.
Yep. You can't pull the
That's a pretty good thing to say too, because that means that that's not just lieutenants, captains, and chiefs making change. It could be the guys on the street.
Absolutely.
So
firefighters
it's the firefighters that can actually make change. So if you have one guy out there that's going to go ahead and say, "Man, I really want smoothbore nozzles," and then I just tell my officer, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that'd be cool," and then I just leave it at that. I'm not affecting any possible change that we could be doing if I go around to each one of the crews or firehouses and say, "Hey guys, this is the pros and cons of having a smoothbore nozzle versus what we have now, and what do you guys think?" And then if they play with it, they find out what they like. And then we present it to the chiefs and say, "Hey, we would like to purchase smoothbore nozzles." Well, why do you want to do it? But it all comes down to one person making the decision to affect some change and say, "Hey, let's go ahead and run some tests on it to find out if everybody would like it." Yeah. So that kind of gives hope to the guys that are wanting to make change. It can actually happen. Like, it can truly happen. It's just you got to take the time and the dedication and have the determination.
Put that hustle in
and put the work in. It's not going to be the easiest thing, but that's pretty good that you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, you always hear where fire service, 150 years of tradition unimpeded by progress. I mean, you see it in the movie Backdraft in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not in there because it's a catchphrase. It's true. Mm-hmm. We are horrible at change. Yeah. Sometimes we're forced to change. I mean, I remember when you open up that Firehouse magazine, I'm like, man, that cab has 4 doors on it. What are they doing to us? We want to be outside so we can smell the smoke when we're driving down the road.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look, we got a car fire. We got a dumpster fire. Oh, that's a house fire. I mean, that's where we were at. And
he's talking about an open cab.
I've ridden on an open cab before.
Yeah. So
I've ridden on an open cab.
So, I mean, we're resistant. I mean, chevrons. I mean, yes, they make the back of the fire truck stand out better. They really do. They got the purpose. They've been doing that stuff in Europe for a long time, but we're resistant to it, the change. When you're talking about firefighters making change, when I think of nozzles and hose line advancement and deployment, you guys probably think nozzle forward. Guys like them, which they're phenomenal. They have some great information, great stuff they're doing out there. I think Andrew Fredericks, FDNY, died at Twin Towers when they collapsed. He's a firefighter that was well respected on nozzle deployment and advancing and flowing water. I've got all of his articles. He actually had an article in Fire Engineering, the back, and I have them all printed out because you can get the PDF online. I can send it to you guys if you want.
Yeah,
have you heard?
Awesome.
I mean,
I never heard of him.
Yeah,
I would love
see,
to.
Andy Fredericks, we should not forget about him.
Right.
Dude, that guy, smooth bores, and he had facts and data to drive it. He didn't have to burn 1,000 houses in a test facility to get this information. He had real life. He was on busy engine companies, and he had pride in it, and he's well respected for it. He died in 9/11. They made him a lieutenant after his death. But man, that guy, that's my pull off the shelf every once in a while when I want to rejuvenate.
Really cool.
I've got those books that when I'm getting down, just open it up. Oh,
And it happens.
yeah.
It happens, and it's okay that happens.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't fall into that hole and you get back up, get that passion back.
And no matter how long you're in that rut for, no matter how long you've been in that hole, you can always get out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can always get out of it. I've talked to guys that have been in a hole for 10 years, 11, 12, 15 years, and they said, man, it's just the way things have been for me. And it's like, dude, that's amazing to me that is it the pride that you just don't want to make that change because everybody's accustomed and used to you being the way you are right now? Or why not just affect the change in yourself? Try to better yourself. Guys will see it. Who cares if they think, oh, it's all fake? But if you're affecting the positive change in yourself, I'm looking forward to creating a better firefighter for yourself and guys around you. That's all that really matters.
Right.
You mentioned, I think it was in episode 1, that you took a leader, like an officer class.
Yep.
Was it Lasky and Salka?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is the one that I hosted over there?
Yeah,
at the
it was
church?
right after I got off, right when I came back from surgery. I come walking in, and Brian Johns goes, "You're going to this class." I'm like, "What class is it?" And he's like, "You're going. This is the location. This is where it is. You need to go." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I had no idea what it was. I just drive there. I show up, and it was over at what was it? It was at the church.
Emmanuel.
It was at Manual Church.
Yeah, I think it was at Manual.
Yeah, because that's where I used to go.
So yeah,
It was an amazing class.
I drove to just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. There's 5 of us from my other department that drove down there to take that class, and I was like, I got to get them back up here. We got some sponsorship, had that class, but I knew it was a great class. So the that pride and ownership that Lasky does.
Yep.
I mean, it kind of, that's one of those, boom, okay, I remember why we do this. I mean, it's the good traditions.
And those two actually have an amazing podcast.
Oh, yes.
Right now.
Yes.
I mean, that stuff is great stuff. To listen to those guys talk. It's a 45, 50-minute episode, and I mean, the stuff that they're, spitting out is incredible.
Yep. That and Salka, geez, that what he has seen fire-wise, busiest engine companies, busy battalions, knows his place as a battalion. I mean, he knows that, he's a guest in the Firehouse as the battalion chief.
Great. That's incredible.
He knows that. I like his story where he's like, he walks up to the Firehouse and they're like, Chief, not a good time. And he'll just walk away and come back later. He's like, because, he knows that they're dealing with something. They're dealing with something internally.
Yep.
So that he doesn't have to be involved. But that's the key of a company officer too, is dealing with that. One, we don't want admin in our stuff.
No.
But you don't want the battalion. If it never makes it to the battalion, that's good. If it never makes it to me, that's awesome.
Well, it goes to that whole
barn boss.
Yeah,
being a good barn boss.
Because it never should have to get to your officer.
No.
It's what these senior guys are for. Is to, hey, let's. If we can't fix the problem, then let's get our officer involved if we have to. But it never should get to you guys.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
I mean, like Lasky, it's kind of comical because that kid I was talking about that always talks about nuggets. So Lasky came to Vincennes University. So I was telling he said, I'm going to go to that class. So I'm going to go too. And he goes, well, I think a buddy of mine's going to go. I said, well, I'm going to get my son to drive up from Evansville to sit down this one-day class. I said, you know what? I got to drive from my house to Vincennes. I'll just pick you up in Spencer, where you live. So picked him up at the Firehouse down there, and we drove down. And he goes, so you kind of know Lasky? I said, well, I don't know him like personally, like we hung out or anything, but, we end up, I've hosted classes that he's been in. I've been in lots of classes. I'm going down this one. I said, so, I mean, I know him. He probably doesn't really know me. So we walk in, and he's up there selling and signing books. And he was like, hey, Dale, how you doing? And that kid looked at me and goes,
Son of a bitch.
Seriously? Rick Lasky knows your name? And the whole time.
That's pretty freaking cool.
And the whole time in the class, it's like, Rick's like, well, Dale and I were riding to this fire. Dale and I were doing this job. And it was like, he goes, seriously?
You're just like, no big deal.
Yeah, it's no big deal. I mean,
That's
salt.
awesome.
It's all salt. It's not dandruff. It's salt. Yeah. So I mean, that's the networking thing. When I worked at Fire Engineering Books and Video, it didn't work. I didn't get paid for it. It was slave labor. But I got to meet the lady that ran that, and I said, hey, do you need help in your booth at FDIC? So I go up there on Saturdays, and I would work in the books. I'd straighten out shelves. People would ask me, what's the price of this book? And I'd pull out a sheet and, hey, what's your opinion? And I would tell them, hey, I like this book. I haven't read this one, but this one's new. But during that time, I got to sit down with the Laskys, Salkas, the Kevin Shays. That guy, he is the most humblest guy you will ever meet in the fire service. I mean, I'm sure you know about his rope rescue. He was the second one over to rescue those people in that multi-story building with a rope that was already shock loaded once. And he went over, and they had no object to tie it to. They had a bunch of firefighters laying on the rope, basically.
That you see in the movies.
Yeah.
But it really happened.
Ladder
It really
49,
happened. Yeah.
Ladder 49 redid
Yeah.
it. So, I mean, he's like, just doing my job. And he goes, and then the guy sitting next to him goes, well, tell him, did you know the first time the World Trade Center got bombed, he fell down the hole 3 stories in the parking garage.
Wow.
I mean, he shattered his pelvis, broke his femurs. He was impaled by 3 pieces of rebar. And he goes, I was just doing my job.
See?
That brings us into a couple more topics that we were wanting to discuss. It's like the why and for who. That's that brings us into some good discussion topics on that
Yeah.
part. Those using those as examples. So, for the why, why is it that firefighters do what we do? Why do we do our job? Why do we want to get better? Why everything? Why?
Because I think we never learn how dangerous it is. I mean, I kind of wish I could go back when I knew less, because you took those risks you never knew. You never know what you never know.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
you take that risk, and then, you know, I'm big on whenever a fire's done, you go back in the building and walk around.
Yes.
I mean, I've had some industrial fires here in Johnson County. Went on, it's like, because there's a good 4 or 5 years that I fought so much fire to the south here. I mean, we were burning all the time, which was awesome.
They've been burning a lot lately.
Yeah. So, you know, we had industrial building. I mean, Kyle Brooks, I talk about, you know, him and I, he's my oldest son's godfather. And, you know, we don't always agree and don't, you know, we have our arguments, but we can go have a beer the next day.
But
or
see, and
the
that
next
right
time.
there, that's an important thing right there. It's okay to have these disagreements.
Yeah.
Right.
It's okay. We don't have to sit here and talk shit about each other and
I prefer disagreements, to be honest. It offers up, like, I might be wrong. Like,
Maybe I'm
if you and
missing
I,
something.
if
Yeah.
you and I have a disagreement on something, I might be wrong. So I want to figure out, well, is my change of course of action? Am I correct, or are you correct, or is somewhere in the middle? Is that where the right answer is? But let's try to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right.
With guys having too much pride and not willing to be
guys
like,
don't want to be wrong.
they
They're
don't want to
afraid
be
to
wrong.
be wrong.
I've been wrong. So I cannot tell you how many times
You're
I've been
wrong
wrong
all the time.
I'm wrong all the time. And I tell you what, though, I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
And it's also helped me out with building relationships in the firehouse. I mean, I consider myself a nice person. So like whenever I say something, someone's like, "That's wrong, man." Instead of getting angry, it's just like, "All right, well, can you help me out?" Like that's simple. That's super easy to do, but having too much pride and just being like, "I'm right every time."
Well, and
It's-
there's a
it's
good
problem.
pride. Pride in your apparatus.
Yes.
Pride in knowing your job. Pride in looking good when you go out the door, which uniforms could be a whole nother discussion, because I'm not a uniform Nazi.
That could be a whole another
I mean,
episode.
Yeah.
Uniform.
I could talk an hour and a half
Yeah.
just with
Wear
that.
what you want on station, but when we go out the door, look good.
Yes.
That's my thing.
Because those people don't care when we show up to their house what we're wearing.
Right.
They don't care if I have an orange T-shirt on.
Yeah.
As long as I'm there to help them, that's all they care about.
Because my crew, what I expect of them is before 7 o'clock, they got the other set of gear off. They got their gear in the ready state. They've checked their pack. And they've kind of done a walk around the engine. I don't expect the EMS gear checked out and all that stuff. And my ambulance crew, I want them to make sure equipment's in the right place. They got their gear in the ready state. You got your radios and all that. Do I do it every time? No, I should. But sometimes I kind of not set my gear up because we usually get a run.
Yeah.
So I want to get that run. That's what I expect my crew. Don't go up and get a uniform first. Unless my probationary members are different.
It's different.
You better be in uniform by 0700. I don't drink coffee, but you better learn and you better have coffee ready. You know,
Wait, you don't drink coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
What do you do?
Water, Monster Hydro.
You know, I don't drink the
alcohol.
Firehouse
Or
coffee.
no, I don't drink coffee.
I mean, okay, when I say the Firehouse coffee, it's not the company. I don't drink the
Folger.
coffee that we have at the Firehouse.
Yeah, the atypical Folgers.
Yeah.
That trash.
And the big thing. Yeah, I like to smell coffee. I've tried coffee every way. It's just not one of those things I got into. I mean, I tried smoking, but it was marble menthols, and I got sick and threw up. Same with
You'll
chewing.
have that.
Chewing Silver Creek. Whoop. I chewed some Silver Creek, and I didn't understand when they said it's spit, but you actually spit it up, not swallow it. So I got sick.
Well, you spit it up when you threw it up.
Yeah, but you know, that's what I expect. You know, be in that race day, because that shows who it's for.
Right.
It's for them.
And I respect the uniform. I
do too.
Every time I put it on, yeah.
Maltese Cross.
Yeah.
I respect the hell out of it. American
yeah.
flag. I respect the hell out of.
Yeah.
Don't piss on either
Yeah.
one or burn.
And I want to wear that uniform with pride when I do put it on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like you said, that could be a whole episode right there. The
Right.
uniform.
You brought up the fact that we might not understand the dangerous factor, or as we're getting older, you do understand the dangerous factor. Do you think that for guys who are signing their name to the firehouse or the fire service, sorry, or the department they work for. They sign on that dotted line, their line of duty death paperwork, like funeral care. I know for me, it was like, oh, like I could actually really die doing this. Like this is kind of a plan, a pre-plan.
Yeah.
And then after thinking about it a while, I'm like, I know where I'm going after I die, so I don't really care I don't care when I get there. I know I'm getting there at some point. So if my job is to go ahead and possibly give my life to lay it down for another person,
Yeah.
I'm good with it. Which is why you're signing up for a job that's pretty dangerous.
Yep.
Like it's
Yeah,
going to be a
absolutely.
dangerous gig. This is not like something where, no offense to people who stack shelves at Walmart, it's nothing like close to that.
Yeah.
We are signing our name to say, I am willing to die for my city. I'm willing to die for my brothers next to me and sisters next to me, and to possibly save someone else's life. I'm willing to die.
Yep.
So, at that point, I find it just so interesting when guys are they're not willing to make chances. They're not willing to take the risks, and it gets away from the for them. It's for the people.
But they'll take the hazard pay for COVID.
But they'll take the hazard pay for code. No, that's
Absolutely.
just But it comes down to we signed our names. We took an oath to protect the city with our lives, or people, and protect properties, and blah blah blah. But are we going to take it seriously? Are we going to actually do it?
Who's going to actually do it?
Who's going to actually do it? I'm not saying go out there and do that on purpose, but
Right.
our job's a dangerous job.
But
So
it may happen tomorrow.
it can happen at any
2
point.
weeks from now.
I don't want to die in a fire.
No.
I don't want to do, but I definitely, if I got to choose two, and
Mm-hmm.
my wife's going to hate it when I say this, I'm going to die trying to get somebody or pull
Mm-hmm.
somebody out. I don't want to get struck by a car.
No. No.
No, I mean, I don't.
I think it comes down to the acceptance in your head beforehand.
Yeah.
It's the acceptance of, I could die doing this. I might as well do it heroically.
But guess which out of those two that I listed, in a fire or in a car, by a car, is going to happen more likely?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is by that car.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it, any firefighter death is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone. But how many are dying on the end of a hose line operating in flowing water?
Not very many.
Not very many. Why are we killing them? We're not working out, which I'm not the prime example of working out. I was telling you about earlier. I mean, I squat on the toilet. Not when I pee. but it's we're rolling fire vehicles over because we're driving unsafe or unsafely, and I'm throwing out that safe word, but we're blowing stoplights, we're blowing intersections,
For
we're
what, an extra 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe.
and now we're firefighters dying of COVID, we're dying of cancer. It's that stuff. We're not. Again, I'm not going to take anything away from the 10, 15, 20 firefighters that we kill operating on the fire ground. It's just not we're just not killing a lot of firefighters, which is good. We're not the most dangerous profession in the terms of deaths. The guys doing the crab fishing, garbage
We were talking about
truck,
that earlier.
Nick Martin. I was telling you,
Yes.
dude, if you're not following Nick Martin, I want to meet that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, his stuff is logical. He's not.
It's pure gold.
Yeah, he's not trying to make a name for himself. I don't know the guy personally. I would work for the guy because he knows the art of firemanship. He knows that there's dangers. He knows that it's going to happen, but we're not going to allow people to die standing outside. We're going to take the risk. I
That's what
would.
we all signed up to do.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I can't remember if I did it for your class. Who here reads the label inside your fire gear or that manual that comes with your helmet?
Yeah.
It says it is inherently dangerous and you can get serious injuries and or die. Right there. We should exempt when you hand out fire gear in a Fire 102 and Recruit Academy, you should make everybody read that and highlight it and then frame it. That right there talks about the job. And I said job. It's not a job to me. I love it.
Yeah.
But it's stuff like that. It is job. Gravity kills. That building, your house right now is defying gravity. And it's
Especially now because it's under construction.
Well, there's that.
I don't think it's ever going to get done.
I don't know how it's still standing. I'm surprised.
And but when we put fire, lightweight construction, I mean, that whole thing is like, oh, stay out of lightweight constructed houses. Don't operate above them or underneath them. Well, where the hell are we going to do it? On the front yard? No. You have to understand it. You got to know what lightweight construction does to our time frame. You got to understand what it's going to do for flame spread. I mean, we taught fire doubles in size every minute. Well, it's not that anymore. It's times 10. I mean, we're filling our houses full of polyester.
Right.
IKEA style furniture. Nothing against IKEA. No lawsuits, please. But that style furniture is press board. It's sawdust with glue and a laminate plastic sheet over it. So we have to be even better of getting a hose line deployed correctly and efficiently and getting our hydrants. Why are we screwing up hitting hydrants?
That's the
So
basic.
what is our bread and butter of being an engine company?
Water supply and flowing water.
Yes.
And I talk about that
And
with people.
I've still seen guys mess that up.
Well, I think it was Ray McCormick. Somebody put recently on Facebook, they showed somebody wrapped a hydrant, but they didn't unwrap it before they charged it. So it was wrapped around.
I get so like let's try to. I'm not going to Monday night quarterback it, or what is it, armchair quarterback?
Yes.
We talked about this before, didn't we?
Yeah.
This is embarrassing. I don't watch sports,
He's not
guys.
a sports guy.
Not a sports guy.
I'm not a big sports
Yeah,
guy.
thank you. Oh, thank you. I play video games. No. So with that, what do you think comes down to the fact of that person making that mistake? What do you think the issue is? Do you think it's a lack of training, or do you think it's just the adrenaline that they've got going on and the just tunnel vision?
Can I just say yes?
You can say yes to anything, whatever you want.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it's all three
Yeah.
combination thereof. One of those, and it's also me not taking them out there. And when I say me, I'm talking about a guy who's the senior guy or the officer. I'm also a firm believer that when I was not an officer, the officer doesn't have to instigate training. That backstep firefighter should be pulling hose every shift, or you know what? If nothing else, connect two hoses together. I mean, you watch people try to couple hose on the fire ground. It's like, what the heck?
I will say something like that because I've seen other guys doing that, and it's fumbling around a football. It looks sad. So a lot of things, and people that are listening, I hope it's more people than normal. People that are listening, it's simple stuff like that on the fire ground. I haven't been on a large amount of fires, but almost on every single one, I've had to add hose line to each line, and that's something that that's a good example of practicing on disassembling a hose line and then reconnecting an extra 50 foot, and then just practicing that over and over again. When it comes down to it, like wrapping a hydrant and then charging it with that still wrapped up. You either you got tunnel vision, or you're not very trained very well, or you just forgot about it. It's okay that it happened, but don't ever let it happen again. I've used the example of I hit the bay door or head into a fire.
Everything is teachable.
Everything
Yes.
is teachable.
You mess up.
Now every time I always
And
look
everything's
up.
forgettable.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And when you throw in a high stress environment, because
Shit
yes,
happens.
It
you know,
happens.
I've seen the thing where, you know, every time a garbage man turns around a corner, sees more garbage, they don't get excited. And why do we do as firefighters? Because we don't see fire every time we turn the corner.
Right.
We don't see fire all the time. So we don't have that OJT, that on-the-job experience. We have to get out there and do it. We're not burning a lot at the department I work for. I had to work overtime to get a fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, and that was one of those
That
deals
was a
where,
pretty sucky fire too.
yeah, I mean, it was hoarder conditions in a detached garage, and that also kept the fire from spreading even more because there's so much stuff in there. It had to heat up all the objects in there. But it was one of those things where they came up with an alternative means. Like my engine was the pump engine, but we didn't have a water supply. We knocked down the fire. The second due engine couldn't hit a plug, so they became the pump engine, and our engine reversed out 650 feet to the closest hydrant at the dead end.
Yeah.
So that was one of those things that, you know, you can throw at some people and they're going to be like, what? What?
They're gonna
We're
look
going
at
to do
you
what?
and go,
No, I'm the pump
How
engine.
the hell do I do that?
How do reverse that? I thought I drive all my supply hose to you, not away from you.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's all bread and butter. Reverse lays, forward lays.
And to me, I truly think, like you said, yes. I say yes to all those that you brought up, but it's the lack of training. I remember when I started, I mean, I was out hitting hydrants every single day, and it was the senior guys and my officer that were getting me out. We would spend 2-3 hours every single day hitting a hydrant.
Isn't it amazing you can talk about hydrant for 2 hours?
It's crazy, and I didn't know you could do it for that long.
Yeah.
Like, how many times do I have to hit this damn thing?
Well, how many times
That's what
when?
she said.
Yes, that's the first one.
Oh man,
I love it.
this will be good. I mean, how many hours did we spend when our officer would be gone, and it was you and me, you were riding out, or it'd be me riding out, and then we'd have Brent Rockwell. How many hours of training did we spend in that training trailer that we had at the old station? I mean, it'd be almost at most 6 hours a shift.
Even if
we were
just
doing it.
pack conversions,
Pack
just
conversions.
the little stuff. We were doing it in confined areas.
And we had, Brent would, being a little bit larger guy, having a Tobo. No, having a larger guy, having to throw him around, spin him around. If most guys aren't the size of Brent, and he's got muscle on him too. Don't forget that he's got muscle on him too. But I learned how I like to convert a harness best and quickest for me.
Yeah.
Whenever someone asks me, like, how do we do converting a harness? I show them this is the way that you can do it, multiple different ways, but here's my favorite way, and I'll tell you it works for me every single time. But that's just for me. But showing them both, all the different ways you can do it, and have to say you practice it, and of course put your gloves on, black yourself out so you can't see anything, but get some conditions behind it. That's where it comes from training. As much as it might suck when you're doing it, like you're wanting to relax and it's nap time, it's like,
Oh, I get in that mood sometimes.
oh yeah, I still do.
We're going to train today. We're going to do this, and then walk in. It's like, geez, I just want to.
Why did I say we were going to do this?
Can we do?
Yeah,
How
so
about
it
we do
happens.
next day.
It happens. We all get that. But
Let's do EMS training instead.
let's do
No,
tabletop.
whatever.
Tabletop. We'll sit here.
Blood pressure, 120 over 80.
That stuff happens all the time. It happens to me still. Like, man, I really don't want to. Like, I'm kind of tired. I want to go take a nap. And sleep to me is extremely important. If it wasn't for this, I'd be sleeping right now or playing video games.
I think some of the
Or hanging out
best
with my
trainings that I've been involved with are the ones instigated by my backsteppers. That they decide to pull hose one day, or hey, let's try a V split, or we'll try whatever, go up staircase, and then all of a sudden this person comes in, and then next thing you know, it's 2.5 hours later on New Year's Eve, because that's a true story.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah, it was New Year's Eve when we did that. It was a couple, not this past one, the one before, and we've been pulling and talking about hose for 2.5 hours, because we got guys who do the nozzle forward stuff and love it, and I love it too. But then I'm like, but this always worked for me. Take the apartment door across from this apartment fire and put the hose in. That way you're dragging it in straight. That's always worked for me. Something like that.
Yeah.
So, and that's just, and I take the nuggets from the young guy to the older guy, because I'm going to learn too. And I generally learn off every training I go to. I learn because I'm not the smartest guy in the room all the time. Like never.
I never.
Never.
I've wanted to be.
Yeah.
don't
I
matter.
mean, I can probably in the room, I'm the smartest guy on how to cut in and along the ceiling doing
I
painting.
think you're
but-
right, though. I think the best trainings
You can
are
see
the
it here.
trainings.
I suck at it.
Yeah, I wasn't
You're
going to
not
bring it
very
up.
good
But
at that.
Actually, this was an
always make sure you paint the bathroom the best you can do, because they sit there and stare and look at everything.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I did in both those bathrooms. You can go look. Yeah, I did.
I think I painted this room.
Yeah. You didn't.
Yeah.
One of my exes did.
Oh, okay.
And she dropped the roller. That's why she's an ex.
But I think one of
Low
the
standards.
some of the best trainings are the trainings like you just said.
Yeah.
The ones that aren't prepared.
Yes.
We just throw them together and you just happen to go out and you start doing something. That is where it seems like guys truly get into it, and you'll spend the 2 hours out there talking about hose. I mean,
But if you think of the trainings that you sat there and said, man, that was a good training.
yeah,
If you say, okay, why did we do this training? And how did we do it? That answers those questions. Why are we doing this? Well, we're doing it for them.
yeah,
I always talk about when we pull up on an EMS call with a fire engine, how many times do you get, I didn't call for a fire department.
Yeah,
A lot.
all the time.
Yeah.
So you're like, no, this is what you get. I mean,
Yeah.
you pay taxes, you get a fire engine. You're going to get 3 or 4 of us, plus the ambulance is coming, whatever. So they're like, oh, well, that's cool. Or, okay. But their house is on fire, and you pull up in a fire engine, and you can't hit a hydrant, or you pull hose, and it's a spaghetti, and you got kinks, and you can't get water on that fire. They're not going to be happy. They want rock stars. They want PhDs. They want the best that they can get pulling up there. Are we always going to be 100%?
No.
No. Middle of the night, weather, things happen. Life gets in the way. But
And that's where you pick your team up.
yes,
That's where, we always sit here and say, we're a brotherhood, we're a team. Matt's having a bad day, it's my job to pick him up. He'll still be there to help me out, but, I mean, we just got to pick each other up and continue to do the job and, like you said, do it the best that we can.
there was a period recently where, worked fire department full time. I was working, helping build up a company that provides victim assistance almost full time, and board up work, and raising a family and being a husband, and then we were moving into a new firehouse. There was days I'm surprised anybody wanted to work with me, because I was not that nice guy. I was not the nice instructor you talked about at Cena. Oh yeah, Saucier's coming in. We're not going to PT. We're not.
It's going to be an easy day.
It's good. We're going to do some skills, but he's not going to yell at us. We'll leave that to Brooks. And but I'm surprised they even wanted to work with me. I was just a crab. And then, one of my backsteppers was like, something's going to have to give. And then, I talked to my wife. I ended up getting rid of the part-time job that was like a full-time job. And I could give more time to the fire department. So that
with you saying that, I really don't mean to interrupt. That's a really interesting topic that you bring up. That you had a part-time job that caused you a lot more stress than it seems like your full-time job did, and then you, after realizing it, you dropped it.
Yeah.
Do you think that a lot of guys with the negative attitudes in the fire service, a lot of the older guys, it's because if they do have part-time gigs, you think that a lot of it could be stemming from that?
It can be. I mean, they're in life, family life. They could be struggling with their marriage. They could have a kid sick. It's stuff like that. Especially kids sick or spouse is sick. Man, I'll be the guy to go take a nap. Just do what you need to do. Let's get what we need to get done. Make mental health a priority right now. But also, I can see looking back, some of the older guys, especially, I know we're not going to talk politics, but especially in a system where every 4 years you could have a new boss.
Yeah.
There is an expiration date on, I do believe, upper level positions, there's an expiration date. That after a certain period of time, you're probably not very effective. But they have seen that change every 4 years. Well, why work on bettering myself when in 4 years it's just going to change and maybe be worse? So sometimes they just get beat down.
Yeah. Not
talking about they're lazy. They're maybe not a bad attitude. It's just they're tired of getting beat down.
Yeah.
I had a captain at one of my previous departments. We'd be like, oh, if this person gets in as mayor, this person might be chief. It's going to be so much better. He goes, same crap, different face. And it's like, no, you just don't. And then we'd see it over and over again. And you'd think, man, this chief's going to come in and going to be out. And then that chief gets defeated.
Yeah.
Because they're held. They're, financially, they can't do what they want to do for programs. Or politically,
it's easier to say you're going to do it.
Yeah.
But then when you do get put in that position, I mean, your hands are tied sometimes.
And I understand when you have that chief or whatever that, wants to do the right thing, but is held back from doing it. It can only do so much.
He wants to do the right thing.
It's the ones that say they'll want to do the right thing, don't do the right thing to protect their position. That's the ones that kind of hurt me.
Yeah.
I mean, you say you're there for us, and then you're not. I mean, that's the ones that hurt me. But, I don't even know what your question was.
Neither does he.
Hopefully I answered it.
We could go back and rewind it.
Well, the question from earlier was the why and for who. We have remembering who this is for. The example I use for the who is I always use the example of my parents live in the city where I work. My thing is, why guys are like, well, why do you always go to the gym? Why do you always do this? Why do you do this to your body? You saw me trying to walk out of here earlier. I am struggling to walk right now. My calves are killing me. I do that. Oh, yeah, sorry. What are you shaking your head for, right? Want to go to the gym?
I'm going to play devil's advocate when he's done. Our CrossFit, you know how? Because I talk about it all the time.
I don't do CrossFit. I'm not one of those guys. All right.
You know how everybody has an air fryer? Because they talk about it all the time. I'm one of those people.
I've got an air fryer, too.
I love the air fryer.
Yeah, I do too.
My biggest thing, though, is like, what is my best attribute that I can give to the city where I work? Well, I enjoy working out. I like building my strength. I'd say physically, I can perform pretty well. Well, do they deserve the best? They do deserve the best. They deserve the strongest guy. They deserve the smartest guy. I try to be smart. It's hard. They deserve the best driver. They deserve the best fireman, like you were saying earlier.
And it doesn't matter what neighborhood they live in.
It doesn't matter what neighborhood.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whose neighborhood it is, what city it is, what township it is, what district it is. They deserve the best. What does that require of me? That requires of me every time I go to the gym, I give it my all every single time. That requires of me eating healthy. That requires of me trying to educate myself. Yeah, everyone gets in their slumps. I've been in a slump too. But it requires training. It requires being the best at your job. If I'm going to go into work and I'm going to say, I'm going to half-ass my entire day today, then I need to take the day off. Because the citizens don't deserve a half-ass day.
No,
they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
They pay their taxes for us to be the best. I don't care what department it is. You've got to be the best. And if you have that mindset of, I'm going to try my hardest, I'm going to give it my all.
I'm just saying there's times where I haven't been the 100%.
Exactly. And it happens.
I've maybe been 42%.
Yes.
And
it happens.
Yeah.
It completely happens. But like, there's been a couple days where I've woken up and I'm just like, there's no way. There's no way I can give it my all today. And it's not like exhausted, tired. It's just mentally, I just can't. I just mentally cannot give it my all today. It's each place deserves your all every single day, because that day could be one. It could be your last day, or it could be that citizen's last day. Would I want my parents to have some of the guys that I know going in to rescue them? Not one chance. Not one chance. I've mentioned that before to guys. There's no way you're dragging.
You're going to drive because I don't want to drag you out of the
exactly.
building.
And it's like
Absolutely.
for one, there's no way I know you can get in there and get them.
Yeah.
Because I know your lack of training. That's a problem, and I'm sorry. I interrupted. That's a problem that I see. That it's like, what do our citizens deserve the best?
You know, the other night I sent you and Jacob a text message about, I want you guys to listen to this podcast, and I told you it was the Crew First Culture, Jeremy Sanders, and it was called "It's a Great Day," and he literally. I mean, it was amazing stuff that he was talking about. It was, and I've been trying to do this at work. It was, does it suck going on lift assist? Yes, it sucks. Does it suck when we sit down at dinner time and we catch an alarm that we know is going to be BS and it's going to take 30 minutes? Yeah, it sucks. But it's important, and he said he doesn't let his crew do this. He says it's important that we don't go in with that negative attitude, because that person that's calling us, that's on the ground right now, we're making their day. You know, people call us because we can fix it.
Right.
So my last 2 or 3 shifts, I've actually, whenever we've gone on these BS runs, I've sat here and I wanted to bitch. I wanted to bitch and moan, but I've stopped myself. And I work with a great officer who literally will not bitch. I mean, he's the most positive freaking person about it, and I respect that. And so the last 2 or 3 shifts, I've really tried to do that, and I'm telling you, you go in there, they deserve the best. They deserve our absolute best. They don't deserve us coming in with a shitty attitude. What are you doing? What do you need from us? They deserve the best.
What did we sign up for?
Yeah.
to,
It's
to
them.
serve
It's
our
the-
community
yes.
as servants. We are public servants.
And anybody that hasn't yet, you should go listen to that podcast. Crew First Culture. It's a great day. Jeremy Sanders. It is. It's great stuff.
Well, it's like the lift assist may be the worst event they've ever experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to them, that is an emergency.
Yes.
And, you know, I'm also.
I do have a
gosh,
story
we're
on
go-
that one, too,
We're,
when
we're
we're
going.
done.
We're another lift assist, and I'll tell you what, we've got some in my district. My first due, some lift assists, and we're friends. I mean, when we pull up, we
They
know
know
about
you.
their grandkids. You know, we take the time and talk about, hey, that's a beautiful wedding photo. Who is that? And all that. And I mean, we got one. He gives us cigars every time we lift him up.
That's
Hell
nice.
yeah.
Can I go?
Give me that address
I mean,
so I can. Take
We
that.
actually had one that the husband and wife have died recently of COVID, and we're like, we miss them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they had horses in the backyard.
Wow.
We went and rescued their dog because it was stuck under a horse door, and the horse kept stepping on the dog's tail.
Oh,
I mean, we got him out, you know, all good. But you know, we're like, oh, we kind of miss. We don't get to see
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
anymore, and it's like you get to know them, and you know, it's,
Yeah.
and when you walk in, they're like they light up because they recognize you. And they're like, okay. And we got one, you know, retired Navy guy. I mean, it's just you. Hey, Nate, go Navy. And like he'll just and like you know, recently with the election, he also we knew what side he was voting for, so
Yeah.
we'd have conversations. But
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes these people just don't see anybody.
Right.
Their kids may not
We
come
make
around.
their day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
With the example of earlier for the lift assist, my wife's cousin, he's completely 100% deaf. He's had I can't remember the name of this disease, but basically it's a lot of the brain stems and then all the stuff inside of his head. He had tumors inside, and it causes his balance, so he's got vertigo horribly. He has to walk with a cane, and he fell, couldn't get his balance. He couldn't step back up. I mean, if you look at him, he looks pretty normal. I mean, he reads your lips. He has no idea what you're saying until he reads your lips. But he had to call for 911. Of course, he can't hear it, so he's just dialing and then just repeating it over and over again. What he was explaining to me was how embarrassed he felt, how defeated he felt. This guy's from He's from California, moved to Tennessee. He was very well known in the musicians world. He was always in the know for those kinds of people. He was making really good money. He used to have all this power and then lost all of that. And he's explaining how helpless he was and how down he felt and how embarrassing it was to have other men come to his house to come pick him up because he can't stand up right now.
Yep.
And when he was explaining that, I'm just sitting there just thinking, I'm like, man, this is a lot of our patients that people we go on. It's imagine how they feel. You know, an older woman falls down on the ground. She just can't get back up. She's not hurt, but she's struggling, and her blouse is up a little bit.
Yeah.
You imagine how embarrassed she must be feeling. And it doesn't help if we're pissed off and annoyed and going in there. Yeah, well, don't do it again. Get you some different socks and get some of this and that.
Yeah. I mean, these old.
Would you treat your grandmother like that?
Yeah.
Unless she's a
I'd be
horrible
pissed
person.
if somebody treated mine.
I would be very upset.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a different era because those women were not putting pictures of themselves on Instagram and TikTok and all that.
No.
I mean, not on Tinder.
If they showed
and
an
all.
ankle, that was
Yeah,
woo.
I mean, it was
You see that ankle?
different lifestyle. I mean, it
Yes.
was, and it's that dignity thing. I mean, that's, and again, you treat them like your grandmother and your mother, you know, as long as you like them. You know, I mean, it's their worst day.
Yeah.
It's their worst day. I've been on a lot of worst days for people. I mean, we've had some crappy runs the past 3 or 4 months. I mean, crappy runs. Things, and I don't tell my wife a lot about our runs because, quite honestly, she doesn't want to know. She doesn't want to know me describing, we're in there, flames were rolling across our head, and, you know, my shoulders started getting warm. And then she's like, I don't want to hear that. I know it's dangerous. I've been living with this for 26 years. I don't want to hear that. But there's some runs I've gone home and just I gotta talk. I mean, and we've had some recently, and I won't get into them because whatever. But I've also learned, and this is advice from a guy who's been around for a little bit: have a good hobby to help you through the tough time. I'm not talking about skydiving, bungee jumping, even stay with, I mean, guns make people feel good, but sometimes it's easy. You don't want to be around. But, like me, I have a workshop. I built a fence around my house when I lived in Franklin because of a run I went on.
Mm-hmm.
That was my therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pay for somebody to listen to me. Is it wrong if you do? No, absolutely. You got EAP, you've got, Brandon Dryman up at IFD. Those guys are doing great things with mental health up there.
Mm-hmm.
But have something that you can, not drinking alcohol, not binge drinking. That's not good therapy. But it's like those things. Like I said, I built a fence around my house when I had a burned to a crisp kid in my arms. I mean, I see that kid in my arms every day. And I built a fence to help me get through it. So have that stuff.
I'm glad you touched on that because, mental health is something that we're going to be talking about a lot.
Yeah.
And we have actually been approached to help hit up a group called Beneath the Smoke.
Oh,
with
yeah.
a lieutenant from Sugar Creek.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, we've been asked to...
Also, I was in an apparel company.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Great
we've been
guys.
asked to be
Those
a part
guys
of
are
this.
super.
And it's going to be...
Next rung.
Yes.
I mean, all those
it's going to be
guys,
incredible.
girls.
Because, like you just said, guys are struggling out here.
Yep.
Guys and gals. Well, I mean, we're all struggling. Some are, having more problems than others. And we need to get that out there that it's okay to talk to somebody. Or, like you said, get that hobby.
Yep.
You built the fence. And as long as the guys are dealing with it, that's all that matters.
It used to be suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah.
I mean, just
You're not weak
Put
for
it
asking
inside.
for help.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
not at all. They those organizations are phenomenal.
They're important.
They're very important, and I'm glad you're going to be doing work with them. I had a thought, and I totally lost it because I'm old.
That's okay. I'm sure you'll find it in your Rolodex.
Am I right? It's a slide tray.
Slide tray.
Rolodex.
Sorry. Well, back to mental illness and stuff like that. I mean, everybody's going to have that call that bothers them.
Yep.
Everybody's going to have that, and I like to say that I'm a Christian. I'm a Christ follower. I read the book. I try to stay into it, listen to sermons as much as I can. A lot of the stuff that helps me get through it is looking to God. I'm not going to make this a whole sermon because I'm sure guys won't appreciate that, but I don't care. But the biggest thing for me is I've found is there is a better place afterwards. There is a better place.
Mm-hmm.
What can we do for the younger guys or even the older guys that have seen something traumatic? Like, we got to remember these people, like the lift assists. This is their most traumatic event they've had happen to them possibly. To us, that's usually nothing. Firefighters see more traumatic. Firefighters, police, EMS, first responders, they see traumatic events almost on a daily basis. What's that going to do to somebody's mental health over years? Over 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years? What is that going to do? How are they dealing with their stress? Are they bundling it up? Are they letting it out with a hobby that they can relieve stress through? I just talked to a guy the other day about, I talked to my wife about things that really bothered me. Way to go.
This thing. I'm left-handed.
I could move it to the other side, but
That's okay. I'll still hit it, and it'll be another excuse.
Yeah. But, I talked to my wife about things that really bother me. And I just go up to her and I say, hey, I just need to vent. And then at that point, she knows, I'm not going to give advice. I'm just going to sit here and listen. That's what I need. And I would try to do the same thing for her. It's very difficult. But a lot of the times it's just we need to talk to somebody about it. And I cannot tell you how many times I've heard it. You need to suck it up. Just get over it.
Yep.
Hold it in. You don't need to talk to anybody. That's what pussies do.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard that, and I'm just sitting here. I'm like, that is the most wrong thing to tell someone. Yeah. Now, it's not weak that you have feelings. It's not weakness that you care and that something's bothering you. Everybody's got their point. Everybody's got their vice that gets them emotionally connected to a call. But how are we dealing with it? Mm-hmm. It doesn't need to be something that's publicly promoted, like, oh, so-and-so came in and talked about this. It doesn't need to be anything like that. It needs to be, I mean, if you want to reach out to somebody, like, hey, man, I just need someone to hang out with or talk to. Or, hey, this is what's going on. I don't feel like talking to my crew about it. But
a 10-minute conversation can do a lot.
Exactly. That it can do so much to change somebody's outlook for the day or for that week or on the situation that happened.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of shitty situations that happened.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. Men can cry because I know I have.
Cried.
Yeah.
I've cried a lot.
I cried and you know the run I'm probably thinking about.
I got a splinter in my finger the other day.
Well, you probably know the run I'm thinking about.
Stepped on
Over at
Lego.
Aldi. I cried. I mean, it was weeks. It was weeks for me to get over that. It was so tough because I tried to put myself in that kid's shoes when that happened. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, man, and I talk to my wife every day. And then my dog, I'm hanging out with my dog all day long. And then I'm starting to play more video games. And I'm starting to read back into the Bible. And
Well, what got you through that day, though, was your dog coming in.
my dog came
Your
in.
dog coming in, and
I got a pit bull,
the way that
and she's
it
perfect.
uplifted the shift, it was unbelievable.
Everyone on the way back in the truck. We got back in the truck, and I'm just in silence. And thankfully, we had a senior guy, I believe it was Josh Meadows at the time, and he's like, "Hey, we need to sit back and you need to mark out a service. We're gonna talk." Mm-hmm. And I'm glad he said that because like I was the ride-out officer, and I'm still pretty young, and I was just like, "Yeah, all right." And then battalion chief called, "Hey, you gonna come down?" And he came down, but I texted my wife on the way back to the firehouse. I'm like, "Can you please bring our dog over?" And she's a cuddle bug, and that's all she wants to do. And my dog is too.
Yeah. I thought he was going to eat my leg.
And she brought her in, and that's her right now. She brought her in, and she just went up to everybody, and just everyone just got their mind off of it. And even if it's just bringing a dog into the firehouse,
It just takes that one little thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it literally did turn the shift around.
yeah.
It really uplifted everybody. And it's not like she's the most perfect dog, even though she is.
But
It helps.
you ever seen that documentary Burn about
Oh,
Detroit?
yeah.
I mean, the old, I can't remember his name, but he says, "I wish my brain could forget what my eyes have seen."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he's seen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he retires in there. But what was he doing? He had a cotton pad cleaning the windshield of his engine, and the light bar is duct taped.
Yeah.
So I know that's a little off from the mental health, but that guy has seen all this, and he still goes in after 30 plus years and use a cotton swab to clean the windshield of his engine.
Yeah.
Because it's his engine.
With
Now
duct
that might
tape.
be his therapy.
With duct tape
Yeah,
all over
with
that
duct tape
engine.
all over. They have pop cans on their run printer because station alerting doesn't work, and they hear the pop can fall off the printer, and that's when they know that they got a run coming in. They get shot at. But he's up there doing this.
It goes back to what you said earlier, that pride in your apparatus.
Yeah.
I mean, good God.
Yeah, I mean, we don't own that fire engine. You own the fire engine sitting at Station 11. I mean, you do.
I do.
The people that are calling us for the lift assist own that fire engine.
Yes.
They are letting us borrow it
Yeah.
to come help them. I mean, that's really it. It's like
Why come in with that shitty attitude?
yeah, you have a snowblower. You
Yeah.
give, hey, can I borrow your snowblower, Ryan? I'm gonna go, and I bring it back, and the belts are broke, and the augers snapped in half. You're gonna be shitty.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like it's no different. They are letting us use that. So we go to help them and protect them. I mean, we're an insurance policy. Nobody wants to call us, but they want us there when they call us. So, and the mental health thing, we've all seen stuff. I mean, there's crap I've suppressed. I probably never should have. It might come back and haunt me. But I mean, I've seen torsos from a plane crash. Military plane crash. The biggest piece we found was from this much. Found a head and a helmet. I've looked into people's throats because their heads are smashed off from the car accident. Just stuff. That kid, when I was working burgers or working in another fire department,
Beep.
Rifles bill.
I mean
Yeah.
I was working part time and I got burned and yeah, shitty. I got burned, but this kid died.
Yeah.
2 kids died in this fire. And I got burned because I was dumb because I thought it was cool not to wear a chin strap. Because that's what I've seen people do.
Yeah.
And my helmet fell off and it pulled my Nomex hood off. I got burned, went downstairs, put my hood on, no helmet, went back upstairs and found the kid. Could that kid have lived? In my mind, I think if I was wearing my chin strap, that kid would probably be alive.
Yeah.
He was burned really badly. He'd been dead before we got the call. But in my mind, I think, man, I wasn't 100% that morning. I didn't wear my friggin' chin strap. So, and I got burned, and the kid's dead. 2 kids are dead. Now, again, they were probably dead before we got the call. But in my mind, I think, what could we have done? What could I have done that much better? We pulled the hose line really good. We got the fire dock down real quick. But in my mind, that fire was screwed up because I didn't put my chin strap on. So when we do drills, when I was teaching the career center close by, if kids weren't wearing their chin strap, I'm knocking their helmet off. You know, you're no good now. So,
And it's not you being a dick. It's you trying to teach something to them. Like, listen, like this is what happened to me, and this is the guilt I feel from it.
Yeah.
Just make sure you got yours on, and it's a learning thing, and that's really tough. That's really tough that you had to go through that, and it's part of our job that we have to realize and understand that we're going to be running. I hope to God I never see anything like that, because that's just I don't know how I'd react afterwards. It'd be heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. I hope I never have that.
You had the one down this way.
Yeah. That we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, I mean, they did everything perfect.
One of the paramedics that rode in was his first day at my full-time job, and he's my backstepper now. And he had a Krika.
Yeah.
That
First
kid.
day.
First day.
Yeah, but that right there goes to show you, too. It's the whole, VES. It's not something that that crew may never do it again.
May never do it again.
May never do it again. But it goes back to the training.
But they were on an engine company. Why did they learn how to do it?
Why were they throwing a ladder and going through that window?
That's a truck job.
Yeah.
What they did was heroic, and which I know I've told them
and
that.
they did it flawless. I mean, they did it perfect, and it goes back to like you said, there was an engine company doing truck work. We have to be great at everything that this job has.
Yeah. You can work overtime.
Yeah.
I'm assigned to an engine, but I can work on the truck.
Yeah. Same
Am
goes
I
for
going to
us.
be as good as the guys who are assigned to the truck that do it all the time? No, but I need to know the skill set. I mean, we acronym the crap out of the fire service. VES, VIS. The first time I did it, it was called, kid, get your butt in that window up there.
Yeah.
There was no acronym for it. He goes, climb up that ladder, go search that room. So there was no acronyms.
Yeah.
You can acronym everything to death. It's the basics. I love the studies out there. I like fire behavior. The UL's doing great stuff. The problem isn't UL. It's the people taking bits and pieces and then blasting out there and saying, well, we need to do this. Well, we should never ventilate a roof again. No. You didn't look at the whole study. This study was to see the effects. If you cut a hole in the roof and leave the front door open and bust the front window out, how big will the fire get?
And that's one thing we're going to do with you, too, is you don't know it yet, but we are going to do fire behavior.
Now that we say it, now you have to be held accountable.
We're going to do that.
I
That's the important stuff that guys need to know.
And some guys can. I'm really sorry.
you're
to interrupt
okay.
you. Some guys can
You're
be
bad
embarrassed.
at-
I have. What's that?
You're really good at cutting people off.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I mean, it was just you the first episode. But now
Now it's everybody else.
he doesn't do it as much now. No, because somebody else is talking to him.
My bad.
No, you're good.
Well, let me cut you off. If guys can be embarrassed to ask questions, easy, simple things that we probably should know all the time, but guys can be embarrassed to ask those questions.
Yeah.
It is our job as leaders for one, to not fail them, two, to teach them all the basic stuff, and then if they want to learn anything else. But the biggest thing for me, it's like, hey, if you got a basic question that you think you should know and you don't know, that's completely okay. We're going to learn right now.
Right.
Like we talked about this morning. It's better to fail on the training ground than it is on the actual fire ground. I would rather have you fail a lot on the training ground, but as long as you're trying your hardest and improving, than you would if not training at all and failing on the fire ground. So if you want to ask me a simple basic question, I'm like, well, how does flow path work? Well, let's talk about it.
and then we can go through it, and then you can deduce your own opinions on it and what we should be doing. What is it on, cutting a roof? Well, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. But what can that do? Well, decrease smoke and visibility, or increase visibility and decrease the smoke inside. And you also make sure you're going to be coordinating that with a line that's going to be going in.
And that's the thing. That UL study, they never applied water to it because they wanted to see the effects. And people are like, oh, look, you venerate the roof. And no, they never put water on it. You coordinate, and coordination is the thing we've lost. So a truck crew. So you got a dedicated truck. Not everybody listens is going to have a dedicated truck company. But you get assigned ventilation. First floor fire. How quick can you get off a rig, grab a hook, and take out a window? Quicker than the engine company can get that line pulled, right?
Absolutely.
That's where we screw up. And when I say we as the fire service, not any department specifically, is we're taking out a window before one of two things. One, they're told to take it out by the attack crew inside, or two, once you hear water bouncing off the inside of that window, it's a good sign they're applying water to the fire room. Take the window. So we're taking the window out too quick. It's getting the oxygen that it needs. We're leaving the front door wide open while we're masking up and waiting for water. Bring that door ajar.
Open the door and get it shut again.
Yeah. But my opinion is, once you break that plane and enter that building, you don't close that door. You don't bring that door back closed, because one, it slows down getting the hose pulled, and two, there's light. There's ambient light that comes through that front door. That's your way out. We did a drill when I was training chief, and it was a RIT drill. We were talking earlier about RIT and Mayday drills. How if you don't know how to pull a hose line and hit a hydrant, then
you probably shouldn't be doing RIT training.
Or you probably should, because you're going to have those.
You would think
that a lot
you
more.
need to be doing.
So we were doing a RIT drill, and they went in. Well, when you're in training, we do some stupid things sometimes in the training division, like closing the door because we want to keep the artificial smoke in.
Yeah.
Well, when they were dragging the person out, they went to the door and went, bam, it was closed. Well, now you got the firefighter and a couple other firefighters, plus the firefighter is the victim, and they had to turn around and drag away from the door, open the door, and come out. Well, that could have meant the difference between fire licking them in the head or them getting out to safety. Right. So, there's those things. People see the studies and they just take bits and pieces. Read the whole study. See what works for your department. I mean, physics is physics. We don't change what temperature water boils at, but what can we do? We can change room condition by putting water on it. Applying water quickly and efficiently, quick water, get that fire. You put water on a fire, everything gets better, unless it's electrical fire or magnesium or something like that.
That's going to look cool.
Yeah.
This will be great.
So, those are the things. Get doors closed. I'm a huge proponent of close before you doze. Before you go to bed, close your bedroom doors. Before
with you saying, I just cut you off again.
I was waiting. It's been like 6 minutes.
You gotta give it out. That was great.
So difficult. Well, that just reminds me, closing your door. What was that fire? The fire that we had just south of us.
Yeah.
How much criticism did you get for us going in? From guys armchair quarterbacking it, Monday morning quarterbacking it.
Said it right the first time.
Which one?
The first time.
Who?
Armchair quarterback.
Me? Yeah. With guys telling you like you shouldn't have went in. Well, for one, you weren't there, and that's something big that I've learned just from that part is you cannot armchair quarterback every single video you see on YouTube or every action somebody did on a fire scene.
You don't know their training level, their staffing, their response district.
We were not there. You were not there, so you don't say, well, you shouldn't have went in. You could say, hey, what was your decision on going in? Why did you go in? What were the conditions like when you got there? For one, that creates a healthier discussion. You might learn something, or you might say, hey, man, I don't agree with that, but you guys went in, you knocked the fire out. We did a really good job on that. I was pretty impressed on how we did. And maybe I shouldn't be judging on how every single thing you do and just judging on, well, you shouldn't have done it. Well, what's our job? When we opened up that door, now from the picture that everyone saw was plastered everywhere, was the house was fully rocking, except for one room.
That's their picture everybody saw. By the time we got there, it was a little bit down, but still going. That room, as soon as we opened up that window to go inside to go see, it looked just like in here. Literally looked just like in here. Piles of clothes everywhere. We're searching through the piles of clothes, searching through the closet, underneath the mattresses, looking around behind cabinets, behind the curtains, just checking everything. And it was literally just like this, except for there wasn't the blue lights.
Right.
But the conditions were great.
And the studs.
Yeah.
I mean, in the wall, there's
They
studs.
were missing.
But it was like, you guys weren't
Yeah.
there. So why? But that's our job. Just because the house looks like it's fully going, just you see a room, check that room.
I mean, that's the
There
thing.
could have been a child in there.
Yeah, I mean, the 360s, things like
Yeah.
that, because like you said, that one room. I mean, people say, "Oh, it's fully involved, it's defensive." Well, have you walked around the building? Is there any
And the
survivable
whole,
space?
Yeah.
You look at the time of day. It was 1:00 in the morning.
Cars in the
There
driveway.
were a lot of people doing 1:00 in the morning,
Yeah.
sleeping.
Well, we have to be careful on that teaching too, because what's been going on the past? Well, it's 2 weeks we're flattening the curve, and now we're at almost a year.
Yeah, it was,
All the kids at home.
Yeah.
So during the day, when we're like, well, the kids should be at school, well, now
Yeah.
they're home.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're all latchkey kids.
E-learning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all
e-learning.
e-learning now.
Yeah.
What are they going to be doing?
Yeah.
It's something that's very. I learned from that experience of not to armchair quarterback it. I
Well,
learned.
and I
so
I
easy
told
to
you,
do.
It's very easy to do. It is very easy.
I
to
leaned
do.
on 2 senior guys and my battalion at the time, and they were good with with my decision and all that. And they said, are you good with it? Is your crew good with it?" And I said, "Yeah, that's all that matters."
Yeah.
And I took that, and literally when I kept hearing other things, I just didn't care. Like,
I'm probably my own worst critic anyway. I mean, even that fire we had the other day, detached garage, I'm thinking, man, I should have done this. Why didn't I do this? I should have done that. I mean, and then you talk to another officer that I highly respect. He's like, no, he goes, actually, I was pretty excited that I knew you were on the rig. It's like, but I felt like I screwed up. And it's like, so I'm always.
but that's because you give a shit.
Yeah. It's that
You know-
self-evaluation of wanting to be better.
You want
Yeah.
to be the best, and you want your crew to be the best,
Yeah.
and that's what I respect.
And one of the things that drove me crazy that I didn't put my waist strap on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so that bothers me that I preach putting your waist strap on because they're designed to ride on your hips, your lower back.
They are.
But that bothered me because what happens if I go down
Yeah.
and they use my air pack as a pull point? My air pack's coming off. So now I'm jeopardizing them being in there even longer in a hostile environment.
I mean,
so-
that's a good point right there.
I mean, that's just
That's-
those things that even though they may convert it, in reality, do you think we're going to convert every air pack?
Nope.
When we see a firefighter down, we're just going to yank and go. We may grab the DRD, we may grab the loop on the air pack, we may grab their helmet and pull their chin off. I mean, as much as I like to say we're going to convert, we're going to tighten down,
Yeah.
we're going to pull webbing out of our gear, we're going to go around, we're going to do it 6,000 to 1 and pull them out until the time comes. We don't know exactly what we're
That's
going
what's
to do.
good about this job is everything. It's never the same.
Yeah,
So we can train to do this, but when it comes time to actually doing this, we're not going to do it.
yeah,
I may not. You pull my webbing out, like you said. I'm going to grab the loop, and we're going.
yeah.
So
And I think the timely death is we do it this way.
yeah,
That's the fire service problem sometimes is no, this is the way we do it.
yeah,
This is the way we've always done it. And it's like, man, if this is the way we've always done it, one, it wouldn't be called VES. It'd be kid, get your ass in that window. I mean, we'd be wearing orange fireball gloves, 3/4. Okay, so I really wish it was that way. 3/4
pretty
boots.
cool.
I mean, 3/4 boots and a long coat, and our turn-up time is 10 seconds to get out the door.
pretty great.
Yeah.
That's me.
Now it's okay. I'm putting my bunker pants on. I'm throwing my radio on. I'm throwing my coat on. I got my hood.
Yep.
I got to put my hood back down. And that's the thing too is having that system. I mean, my gear is set up how
Put it
I'm
on the
putting it
same
on.
way. Yep.
I don't set up my fire gear for the EMS run. We shouldn't be designing fire trucks for the EMS run. I mean that's yes, we're doing a lot of EMS. Majority of our runs, we know that. We go on it. I mean, we need to design fire trucks for firefighting.
We have that one compartment for the EMS run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like but we're designing it for the special ops. We're designing for this. And granted, every fire department can't fall into the same model or spec of a fire engine, but we call it a fire engine.
Yeah.
I mean, so why are we specing them for the hazmat run or specing them for these big monstrosities? I mean, for the what ifs. I mean, we're fortunate enough in my full-time department that we are truly getting to the point where we are an engine company. That's what we're designing, is an engine company. Low hose beds, low pre-connects, simple fire engines, no PVV fans, some hand tools so we can get ISO rating.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a fire engine. And I'm really excited about that, and I hope it works out well and we get that. But we're not doing 40-foot long fire engines anymore. And some departments, they have to do that. Some departments have to have 2,500 gallons of water on their first out engine with a 2-door cab because that's the system they operate in. But if you are an urban fire department and you got hydrants on every 300 to 500 feet, and you're putting 2,500 gallons of water on there because you might do a mutual aid run with an outline. No, I mean, you got to spec it for your demographics, for what you're responding to, and that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. Well, that's the good thing about this is you're going to be back for a lot more. We got all kinds of stuff.
I got time.
Yeah.
Sorry, honey. I know I got projects at home.
You didn't have that part-time job anymore.
I've got time too. In case you guys are wondering. Even though I do have projects,
he's got naps.
Yeah.
I got naps and
Video games.
I'm kind of tired.
Well, and I mean, you guys, I'm going to ask your opinion. I'm going to ask you guys a question.
Oh.
Okay.
Ryan can go first.
Younger guys. What? So, Matt, you're what? 26, 27, 35?
28.
36.
I didn't expect you to be that old.
I got that baby face.
Yeah, I got that. Video games. Fire department. I don't really want my crew bringing video games in.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, I'm
There's some fighting words right
no,
now.
I am like I want you to get your stuff done. There's downtime, but we also do try still to do things together. We'll spend hours around the bay table just talking. Yeah, we might be on our phones, but we're together.
Yeah.
We play marbles. Sometimes we play cards. We're usually all generally 2 groups. I mean, unless there's other things going on. But and the reason I don't like video games is the fact that it engrosses people sometimes. Because it's 2 hours later, it's 3 hours later, it's 4 hours later. You know, if you talk to me nice, say, hey, can I do after 9 o'clock at night or something? Yeah, sure. Like that. But I've seen it go from 9 o'clock at night to 5 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
That's the issue I've seen because, I said, 30 plus years, I still don't know everything, and there's a lot I can learn.
Yeah.
And yes, I watch YouTube videos. I watch your podcasts. I watch other podcasts. I watch TED Talks. But I'm trying to watch those, especially the arriving-ish. I don't watch arriving videos to make fun of people because it'd be really easy to do.
Yeah.
I look at it and say, what would we do
Yes.
on that fire? What would we do? And you can see what they did. If that was the answer you thought, it didn't work. So let's rethink this. So I'm not a huge video game person in the fire station.
You want to go first, Ryan?
Yeah, my shift. Yeah. It's kind of funny you say this because we video games are kind of big on my shift. But when we do it, we're all together. That's
what I was hoping you would say. That would be different.
That's and when we do it, we're actually doing it with another house.
Okay.
So it's literally our house against their house in either golf or soccer.
Yeah.
You know, so we're all together. Literally, everybody is in the room, and
you're busting each other's balls.
Oh man, it's back and forth. You know,
Yeah.
like, dude, you guys suck today. The other day we had 3 houses involved.
Yeah.
Playing it back and forth.
So here's me as the older guy with that thinking. You know, now I'm thinking, well, that's cool. I would join in and do that.
And it's literally it's a lot of fun because you sit here in our house and that house.
Yeah.
You know,
especially with COVID right now.
Yeah, we have something. You know, we went over there the other day to switch an engine out, and you know, we're sitting there busting each other's balls like, "Hey, what time we doing this today? You guys."
It's the ones that sit in the room by themselves. That's
right.
what.
Yes,
that's what
I
gets
completely
me.
agree with that. And you know, last night we did it, but at 8:00, the truck needed washed. We went out and we all washed it. We all paused the game. You know, they know if something's going on if the other team stops playing.
Yeah.
So, at 8:00 last night, you know, we all went out. We stopped the game. We went and washed the engine, and we were done for the night. And it was a couple hours that we play, you know, but we're all together, like you said.
Yeah.
We got a guy right now who's actually building a marbles board. It's funny you said that.
I love marbles.
I've never played it.
Oh my
So
gosh,
I'm
we
looking
have so
forward.
much fun. And we sit around.
Yeah.
And it's
And
just,
like you said, that's what our crew does is we do sit around at the table. Yeah, we may be on our phones or whatever, but we're still having conversation.
yeah.
And we're all still together. And that's the important part right there is we're all together. It's a brotherhood. Like we got to be around each other, you know, a third of our lives. So why not make the best of it?
So that's where like an old guy like me made a little change.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? If I got a crew that 5 of 6 people want to play video games, and I'm like, no, we're never playing video games. That's when you go, hey, you know, we're all together. We're going to play against this Firehouse.
Yeah.
And all that. And then, oh, well, actually, you know what? I'm kind of the dumbass now.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
And let me join in.
Yeah.
see, but that goes back to what we've talked about is it's okay to have these discussions.
Yeah.
Because now
Yeah.
you see maybe like our point. And I completely understand your point.
I understand it.
If
Yeah.
one person is away, that's not cool. Like, why don't you come hang out with the family?
No, the wrong thing is for me to shut down. Absolutely not. No, you guys are never going to play. Even though you're all hanging out, when I see that side of it, oh well, you know what?
Bonding
I've
with that other
always
house.
seen one person playing
Yeah.
away from the crew, but man, if you got
You
majority
got
of the crew,
everybody? Yep.
I mean, you could be the guy that says, "Hey, why don't we find out if any of the other guys from the other firehouses want to play,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we can all play each other."
Yeah.
Making
And
it
that's
friendly
how it happened with
competition.
us. Is
Yeah.
It was just, hey, we're online. Why don't you guys? You want to do this? Yeah, let's do it. And
Yeah.
then I'm telling you, it's turned into a daily thing. Like, all right, you guys gonna get your asses whooped today? And
I mean, it's a generational thing.
yeah,
It's like we always say those young kids, we can't teach them anything. That they have to learn through their phones, all that. Well, maybe we need to look at the new way. I mean, I was
It's
that generation at one time.
Yeah.
yeah.
I was that generation at one
And
time.
it goes back to that whole just change is a good thing.
Yeah.
Change can be a good thing.
Yeah.
And
I think talking on that, I mean, Ryan, you hit. I mean, I think you guys both have really good points
Yeah.
on for video games. I use it as a de-stressor. I use a ton of stuff as de-stressors. Building motorcycles, working on those, fixing stuff. That's a de-stressor for me. I'll put headphones on and just listen to the news, and it's certain news people, and it's a de-stressor. I'll play video games. It's a de-stressor for me. It's also a way of having fun. You know, Kurt will bring in his PlayStation. I'll sit there and we'll go back and forth on what he should have been doing.
Yeah.
It's fun. And he'll be playing with guys from other departments. And I think that's a lot of fun because you're like, well, what are they doing over at their department? Like we could talk to them right now. And yeah, you can sit there and just talk to them. I think it's really cool to do stuff like that. Now, let's bring it outside of the firehouse. What are we doing outside of the firehouse? I saw what was it? It was a picture of, you know, good firefighters hang out on shift, great firefighters and friends hang out outside of shift. And it was like building a relationship outside of work. Like how many times did we hang out when we worked together? How many times did we go, probably it wasn't the best way of doing it, go drinking at the bar?
a lot.
It would be every day we're off, we're
Yeah.
going and hanging out. It wasn't like we're getting sloshed. It was, we're
Right.
going to go out and get some dinner. We made it a point. Our families got more entwined. You know, we built a great relationship. I don't drink beer. If the guys all want to go to a spot where there's,
He's a margarita drinker.
I'm a margarita
It's
drinker.
a sweet.
He likes the
It's all
sugar
sugar.
on the rim too.
All sugar on the rim. I'm a margarita drinker.
Umbrellas.
He
Umbrella.
would take the umbrella.
If they had an umbrella, no one around here has got umbrellas. But the biggest thing is if the
Might
guys
pass
want,
COVID.
I'll use it as a blocker right in front of my face. But the guys, they say, hey, we're going to go to just a place that sells only beer. I don't want to go. I don't want to go because it's only beer. I don't drink beer. But I will go because all the guys are going to go. When I say guys and gals, they'll all be there. And that's a good way to build a relationship. And I might sneak my own margarita in. But it's like, that's just something I got to change. Like, I don't drink beer. I will not drink beer. I don't like it. But I will go to be a part of it. And that's something for me, like sporting events. I don't like watching sports.
Yeah.
I don't care for sports at all. They're all overpaid to me. I'd rather not. I never want to hear another day about it. But the guys at work, that's all they want to talk about.
Yeah.
I'll sit here and I'll try to be a part of the conversation sometimes.
It's pretty comical.
Yeah. They were talking about quarterbacks and stuff, and I'm like, is that like, what's that?
So
No, I'm
now,
just kidding. Yeah.
So now I look at, after asking you, I'm glad I asked you guys that about video games, because now I'm like, that'd be kind of cool if if 53s is playing, and then, hey Matt, you're working today. Hey, let's link up, and then
Yeah.
even though it's through a video game, you're
It's still
getting a
something.
relationship.
It's still that brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still that, that bonding that's going on.
I mean, for us to go over to Greenwood for a fire from 53s, the lightning storms are coming through, because we did your EMS runs for a couple shifts during lightning storms, and and we would run over there. Man, can't go over. Well, I guess we did go over to Harbor Freight. And
Well, even
went
with
through a
like a
building.
lot of the times, like before COVID, we just started getting like guys from the outlying departments to come meet for breakfast on the days off.
Yeah.
Like, you know how much fun that was for me?
Yeah,
Like,
we had
I
3
was-
departments that would meet up
Yeah.
for breakfast.
Well, I know our 52s and 92s on B shift, they were flip flopping
Yeah.
Sundays.
Yeah.
Yeah, that went on for
That
years.
is so.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. We met up a couple times with those 2 departments for dinner on shift.
Yeah.
Coolest
we
thing.
would go. We'd
It
go
was-
get sushi.
Yeah.
And these are guys that
Right.
we will be running with on a fire in that area. These
Yeah.
are the same guys, and now we're building a relationship and talking to them. Just because we're in a different department doesn't mean that we can't be friends.
Again,
or
it
we
goes
shouldn't
back
hang
to what
out.
we said earlier. You have to get out there and meet people.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to know who is coming. That's the way I look at it. I want to know who's coming on that other engine.
Yeah.
To possibly help me.
You'll see when I go on, the times we do make it over to Greenwood, or we go on a mutual aid call in Madison Township in Morgan County. It's like you walk up and I know people.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody goes, you know everybody.
Yeah.
That's it, because, well, I mean, I'm friendly most
Yeah.
of the time. But, it's, I met him through C9, met him through teaching classes or sitting in classes with them, and, just going out, and, it's nice to see that face,
Yes.
It
Absolutely.
really, it makes things so much better. I mean, okay, this crew's going to be good.
Yeah.
They're going to get the job done. I mean, you've had those crews where you're like, oh, can we just send them back home?
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's go ahead.
and that
pack your
goes
stuff
down, a whole nother subject of, being prepared when you're on the scene. Salka talks about it all the time when I've sit in classes. He's like, you sit there and, you got a crew, you got engine crews show up and they're in staging. And you got the crew that kind of got their, jackets undone. They're just kind of leaning there against the rig. And you got the crew they're ready to go. They've got hose bundles on their shoulder. They got tools in their hand. Who you going to choose?
Those are the guys I want.
Yeah, he goes, they're not going to have to run back and get a tool off the rig or some hose. Be prepared for that.
Being that guy that's like, it's just a building alarm.
Yeah.
And you're not wearing anything. It could be. Now, I talked to another guy, Cody Barber talked about this. He was in that slump where it was like, it's building alarm, nothing.
Yep.
They get up there, it's a rockin' fire. Now I got to get all my stuff on. Now,
Yeah.
now we're missing out on playtime. We're missing out on a minute and a half at most for each one of the guys to grab the stuff and then grab all the equipment and then get out. I mean, getting to the door, I know it can be monotonous. I know I've been at fault for that. Like, it's just a building alarm. I read the notes on it. It's nothing. I've been at fault for that. But it's just that one time. That one time it could be an actual fire.
Yeah.
Then it bites you in the ass.
And I think everybody's been to that.
Yeah, I think everyone
Oh,
has.
God. Here we go.
Oh, no, I've been perfect every time.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
I mean, it's-
But it will be that one time where it bites you in the ass.
yeah.
And, there's an officer I know on your department that he is literally never taken that. I know because it bit him in the ass. So now he showed up one time and they got called for just a residential fire alarm.
Yeah.
pulls up, walks up, the packs weren't on, and then they look through the window. Like, man, there's a lot of smoke in there. The house was on fire. So, then they're running back to the engine. And, it happens. And
on private dwellings, my crew knows if we're first doing a private dwelling on a fire alarm or smell of smoke, smells and bells, you're pulling the line to the front door. We're going to have a line. If nothing else, it's practice.
yeah,
But it's like
absolutely.
you're pulling a line to the front door. And by the time I get the 360 done, you should have that. And when I was the lieutenant previously, before I went to the office, the crew, they would, before I got it back around the building, they would have the line ready to go by the front door. And then they decided to carry an extra bundle up. So the backup firefighter carried an extra bundle up.
Yeah.
He goes, and I said, that's brilliant. If we
there
should,
if you need
he goes, no, we use it because we're tired of holding the screen door open.
There you go.
Even better.
But it was
Yeah.
like, well, they're thinking, and now if we run short, we've got extra hose
It's
by the
right
door.
there.
And
Yeah.
a good thing because if let's say I go over to that department, I work on that crew, and they do that. I'm like, why are you doing that? Just because we do. It's just something we do.
Yeah.
It works better if you explain it. Like, well, this is the reason why we do this. Things go a lot farther if you just say, well, this is the reason why. Or if you are being judgmental and say, well, you don't know? Like,
Yeah.
no, I don't. That's why I'm asking the question.
That's why
Right.
guys are afraid to ask.
Guys
questions
would be
anymore.
afraid to ask questions anymore.
Well, you see that when you bring like multiple companies to one training.
Yeah.
The guys who are timid or maybe not as strong as an officer, they're not going to ask the question because they know there's going to be that one person in the back that's going to be, did you believe what they said?
It's going to call them
Oh
out
my
and make
God,
them look
why
like
did
an
they do that?
idiot or something.
Where when I was the training chief, I knew that if I had one company or two with me, you could literally sit on the tailboard of the engine or just kneel down in the grass and, hey, you know what, let's talk.
Yeah. Guys
And
won't shut up.
And yeah, they won't shut up. And the next thing you know, oh crap, I got the other crews that got to get here.
Yep.
So that's the thing too, is knowing. I thought I did a pretty good job being open when people have questions. I like to say there's no stupid questions, but I've heard some.
Has Matt asked you questions in class?
And
I don't know. I said
I-
that back.
I wish there's firefighters, and there we should have the disclaimer down there that says when we say guys, we mean girls too.
Right, yeah.
And when we say
Oh, yeah.
firemen,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
mean
that's the tough
because
thing.
We mean
in the fire,
firefighters.
to me, when somebody when I call somebody a fireman, it's not a gender thing. It is you are there. I mean, I respect you as a firefighter. I mean, people carry the title firefighter, but to be called fireman by somebody that's been around for a while, I'm just like, oh, look,
A lot of
I'm there.
badass females that
Oh my
I
gosh.
would take over
We
dudes.
have some of my full-time department who are
Yeah.
bad ass.
Yeah.
They're good. I mean, I fought fire with some pretty good female firemen, and I fought fire with some crappy male firefighters.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's here. I mean, they can. I mean, there's one that she's 110 pounds soaking wet, but man, she's got a bull attitude and she'll get it done. But she's not there now. But
Those are the
somebody else took her.
Yeah.
But that's.
I've got to use the restroom. You guys keep talking. I got to go use the restroom.
Well, who's going to interrupt us?
Yeah. I don't know if we can continue this.
No, I'll make sure I yell from across the room.
Okay. You should have a wireless mic so we can hear you in there. Oh, he's coming back. Oh, let me guess he worked out.
This is what I deal with on a daily.
Yeah. You guys are. This is good. I'm glad I'm here. It was cool to be asked to come, and
Well, we're just glad you wanted to come.
Yeah.
That was the.
I mean, if this fails,
Big
I'm going to say no. They forced me to come.
No, we need views.
Yeah.
We got views coming.
Yeah. You talk about having Jeff Wilson come in. I respect the crap out of that guy. I learned
Yeah.
a lot from him. Been around a long time. That should be pretty good.
Well, I can't wait to have both of you.
I know that's.
Both of you on. That's going to be great.
I'm looking
Matt and
forward
I
to
don't
it.
even need to be. We'll just sit behind the camera and watch.
I will say that just pull up farting videos, people farting, and he'll laugh the whole time.
He'll be set.
Yeah, it's set.
Well, the big thing, like having you both on, is Matt and I just truly. What the fire service is missing too is a lot of these older guys are leaving.
Yes.
Their stories need to be told.
Yeah.
We have a battalion right now, and a guy that was a lieutenant who I could sit and I could listen to them tell their stories
Yes.
all day long. And that was a big thing that we wanted when we did this podcast was Steve Dillman.
Oh my
we
gosh.
want to get him on so bad.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that we can.
Probably have to go to his house.
Yeah, we're trying. So we hope to definitely. His story needs to be told.
Oh yes.
That dude is a legend.
Yep.
And he's amazing. And we want to get you guys, like, we want your stories to be told.
See, that's weird to me that people are like,
Well, you're
we,
old.
we want you to come in. And it's like, oh yeah, well, I mean, I'm not a big city firefighter. I've fought fire and I've done some stupid things and some good things, but
Yeah,
No.
but it's, and like definitely have you guys on and talk about leadership in the fire service. That's a big thing right now.
yeah.
Other than the mental health, leadership is Are you okay?
It's my cat.
Yeah.
Oh, what's wrong with your calves? I haven't heard anything
Did you
about
work
this.
out?
Guys.
Man, we
Way
actually,
back when.
We actually had a good conversation.
It never got-
interrupted us. Or,
But guess who interrupted
Yeah.
us?
come in.
No,
But no, so we're hoping to definitely, get Steve on, and that way guys can have their stories told.
Yeah.
This is great. I don't know how long we've gone. This has been awesome.
Well, this
2
is what
hours.
I think I told you guys in the message. I was like, I wanted to do that. I
Yeah.
wanted to do a podcast type thing where we could go around and talk to people and, do this type of thing. So, I mean, I'm just riding on your coattails right now. So,
Well-
I mean, you're investing all the money. I just come in and talk.
That's true. That's true.
And
Matt
we will have you guys at my firehouse.
Yeah, we would love that. We
That'd
would
be
love, and
awesome.
that's
Yeah.
that's something that we want to do too. Is definitely go out to these firehouses, and
Even if we get to travel to another state to go to a firehouse.
yeah, that's
Like if someone reaches out to us and says, "Hey, we'd like to have you guys out here just to check
Wink,
out."
That's-
wink.
Yeah.
3 airline tickets. That's 4, 3. I can't even do it. 3.
But I mean,
If they say, "Hey, that would be awesome to have you guys out for the weekend to come check out our firehouse, come
Yeah.
train with us, do some awesome stuff. We'll teach you guys this." Not us teaching them teaching us.
Yes.
Like I want guys to contact us and be like, "Hey, I'm awesome at forcible entry and I put a class on. Why don't you guys come on out?" Like that would be awesome.
Yeah.
We go out there and we record a little bit, learn some stuff, then come back here, then talk about it.
and that's what we're hoping to do with you and Chief
Yeah.
Wilson also is utilizing you guys. Like, we talked right before we started doing this. This is, if we could do something like what we talked about, would be incredible.
Yeah.
And I think it would be beneficial to a lot of people around here.
We're talking about trainings and stuff, and the doll houses.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned dollhouse burns. People make
Yeah.
fun of it. I mean, they're like, "Well, it doesn't teach you how to fight fire." It absolutely does not teach you how to extinguish fire, but it's all flow paths. We never call it flow paths. It's
Yeah.
never a negative pressure, neutral, and a positive plane. We go in a. You see a live fire. It's like, well, look, you can see the smoke going out, and look at this, everything pulling back into the fire. That's
Yeah.
pulling oxygen. Well, they put names to it.
Yeah.
It's always been there. But I do the dollhouse burns, and
That's what I'm
it
saying, we're gonna
shows.
do it.
If you open up this window, what's it going to do? If you open up the roof, what's it going to do? And sometimes, each time we do it, because it's not fire static, it's fire dynamics. It's always changing. So each time I do a burn, it's going to be a little different. I did a burn one day, and the training chief where I work at goes, "Hey, what about putting a leaf blower? Wind-driven fire." Huh. So he grabbed the leaf blower out of his truck, whoo, and then we have fire blowing out, a blowtorch like this coming out the window. So is that more velocity than we're really going to have in wind-driven fire?
Well, remember that training fire a couple of years ago?
Which one's that?
Matt,
the one.
it's still too soon.
It was that
Oh,
winter.
please refer.
You don't remember? That's where I got that picture right over there from.
Oh,
You were,
I mean, if it would have lasted longer, I may remember more of it.
no, but that's a perfect example.
Worked
Wind-driven
really
fire.
hard on that. Dude.
No, you did, and it was great. It was awesome.
Not just
I really
me. There's
enjoyed it.
others that worked really hard.
Yeah, you guys did an amazing
So
job.
the
putting
two
that on.
rotations got some
Yeah.
good training.
Yeah, but wind-driven fire, and that was a perfect example for me. And I remember sitting there with Cody Barber, and he was just like, "This wind is killer." And when he said that, he said if it gets out of it, if we get out of handle of it, it's gone.
Yeah.
And what happened? The wind was kicking really hard. It was over by a big open cornfield. Yeah. Is that a cut on your arm? I got some salt. No, but that's a perfect example. It taught me to think about that as we're pulling up. If we had a house fire, if it's by an open field, I've got to be careful. If it's windy outside, I got to make sure that if we're going to be going in, it's got to be quick.
That's not what I was wanting to teach people.
But it taught me something.
That was so great.
Man, I don't know how you cued that wind, but I learned so much from it.
Hey, is that because he said that you cut him off a lot? Is that why you brought that up?
You hurt me, I'll hurt you. But no, I'm
You
kidding.
cut me off at the knees on that one. Now I get to stare at this fire all the time. This picture over here.
No, but it taught me a lot, and that's what I took out of it. And every fire will go on. I'm always thinking now, like, well, how hard's that wind blowing? And what around it? Is there trees around it? Is there other houses around it? It gets me thinking on that.
So that I didn't sleep very well that night because I thought of the what if. What if we had a crew upstairs? What if we killed some? What if I killed somebody or seriously injured them that day? That fire haunts me. It's not how we planned.
No.
I mean, we had months of work into that. We built an additional hallway in that big living room and put doors in it to represent an apartment building. We were doing VES setup upstairs. It was all, you mentioned wind, but it was all because we all missed something simple. It didn't, because we all did walkthroughs. We spent hours prepping this building, and we never addressed the fiberglass shower enclosure in the bathroom where the fire was being lit for the VES scenarios, and it burned through that fiberglass and got into it was a half story, got into the attic space. That one, we were there, and I decided usually the first day of burns I never go in. As much as you want to go in, I always make sure the rotations are good. Make sure things are going. What can we do different and all that?
Smoothly outside.
And that one right there, we were, me and the battalion chief that day, we were sitting there and we got down to rotation, and they said, the fire, they're in check and all that. Got through majority of the next rotation. I kept looking at him going, this doesn't look right. This fire is not acting like it's a controlled fire in a bathroom. I said, this just doesn't feel right to me. And he goes, yeah, I don't know. And then the sound, I can hear the sound. It's cracking and popping in an area it should not be cracking and popping. And then the wind really started picking up. And I was like, oh crap, it's in the attic. So we hit the second floor and said, hey, and the captain up there is an experienced fire officer, and he's like, no, it's fine up here. And we're like, dude, I think it's an attic. And there was a door you could walk into the attic. It wasn't like an access. It was walk in. He opened up and he goes, yeah, we got fire in the attic. And the whole attic was going. And it burned through that gable. And we put a deck gun on it, and it just laughed at us. It was like, you're not putting me out. And then we decided there's a point, it's like, we're not risking everybody out. We're going to let it burn down. The funny part of the story was the church that gave us the house. We had it for over a year because FDIC actually used it for their VES class. And the guy that I was dealing with, like the head maintenance guy, he pulls out, and I walk over to him. He goes, that's not what you planned. And I was like, it was funny because he's like, you want to go have a beer?
Or a
I'm like, I will need a few after this, but I'll probably do it at home. But yeah, the crazy thing about that is I have recently accepted a position with the state. It's a PRN state fire instructor. They're doing things differently now. Well, with that, they asked, after my interview, they asked if you would be interested in being a 1403 safety/instructor. And I said, yeah, that'd be something I'd be interested in. Well, you had to be invited to the interview. You couldn't apply.
Really?
So I got the email by. I was like, oh yeah, I'll go through this thing. And I may get it, I may not, whatever. Well, I end up. They asked me. They go, okay, we want you. We're going to offer you an instructor spot, and we want to extend out the 1403 safety / instructor. So anytime somebody pulls a burn permit for acquired structure in the state of Indiana through IDEM, they're going to assign one of these 1403 guys. So one, they can be give them not information, do an inspection, make sure it's all kosher, make sure they're running the drills
That's awesome.
per 1403 and all that. And you can go all over the state, do it. I was like, oh, I'm kind of surprised. They go, well, one of the reasons is because your interview, because I brought that up. Mm-hmm. And they go, what better thing to have somebody who screwed up and admits he screwed up going out there and inspecting these buildings because you're going to catch things.
Look what that's led to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. So now I'm like, oh, okay. Because I brought that up. I said, they go, well, how many 1403 burns do you done? I said, well, I remember when we get a house and you'd be like, oh, there's not enough mattresses in here. We'd pull it in, leave the carpet, and throw kerosene diesel mix in. No, we're not there now.
Yeah.
Totally different. But I said all the way to where we're at now, and I've done it. And it says, as a matter of fact, the last 1403 acquired structure burn lasted 20 minutes.
Is that a record?
hold my beer. So, yeah, I learned a lot, but I did go home and not sleep that night because of the what if.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, not a shining moment in my career. Not the worst moment in my career, but learned a lot from it, and everybody was... The best part was when one of the crews was supposed to be there for the afternoon rotation pulled out. The battalion chief forgot to call them. So they pulled out, and they're like, I guess training's canceled. They left.
Are we going in?
Hey, what's going on?
It's just sticks. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, of course, then we got a mutual aid tanker from the neighboring county. So everybody in that county,
They all
because
know.
it was dispatched as training burn gone out of control. I was like,
Nailed it.
yep. How do we code that in NIFRS?
I
This
just
has been
remember
great.
that. Yeah, this is pretty fun.
This has been awesome.
Yeah, I've had fun too. I
Yeah.
thought I was gonna not have anything to say.
Well, you had a lot to say. This is by far the longest podcast I've ever
What do
done.
we have?
This is great.
This is well. Thank you so much for coming on, Dale.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm glad that we got to sit and chat,
fun.
and this has been a lot of fun. And I really hope the people that were sticking around to the end of this, because I mean, it is tough.
I'll send you a T-shirt if you have.
Yeah,
Just comment T-shirt.
yeah. Comment T-shirt at the bottom
We'll
if
get
you
in contact
have.
with you.
Yeah, we'll really try to. So thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of this video. If you really liked it and you enjoyed it, just like, and then you can leave a little comment of things that you agree with, disagree with. Hey, what do you think about playing video games at the Firehouse? What do you think?
I've
about,
learned from that. I mean,
Yeah.
my thinking's different now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's and we didn't have to argue about it. It was
No.
just a simple discussion. What's something that you learned in this episode, or what's something that you would like to see for a future episode? So just comment that down at the bottom, and also just subscribe to our channel that way, and then hit the bell button so that way you get notified whenever we post a video. What? That's what you got.
Good. Matt, that's great.
The way you're laughing.
You just want to interrupt him.
I just did. I had to.
So thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a blessed day and be safe out there.